Cast AI.
ESPN College Football presented by McDonald's. The Hornets are here out of Delaware State, taking on the campus of the defending HBCU national champion Aggies out of North Carolina A&T State University. It's the MEAC opener for the Aggies as we say hello and welcome you inside to BB&T Stadium along with the Howard University and NFL quarterback Jay Walker. I'm Tiffany Green. The toughest part of the season is ahead for both of these teams as MEAC play begins tonight.
And this is what it's all about. And I think if you ask where would these teams be at this point in the season, I think they are where I thought they would be. North Carolina A&T, the defending HBCU champion with 2 impressive non-conference victories. And then you talk about Delaware State, a team that won 3 of their last 4 games to end the season. They got off to a rough start versus a tough schedule, but we're going to see how good Rod Milstead's football team is here tonight as they take on a tremendous test here in Greensboro.
Well, North Carolina A&T seems to just continue with a stable of running backs. We like to call it running back U, and you have to look out for number 30 in blue, Jermaine Martin.
Yeah, the school that has produced Maurice Hicks and Tariq Cohen and guys like that nature, well, they've got another one, and that's not good news for the conference. Jermaine Martin is that dude for head coach Sam Washington. 6'1", 215 pounds of pure power and explosiveness. He's a home run here that can finish. And if you want to stop North Carolina A&T, I recommend you sell out in the passing game and try and stop their running back led by Mr. Martin.
Well, he showed that a couple of weeks ago against Charleston Southern, had 299 yards to go along with a couple of touchdowns. And so that Hornets defense will be tested, but they have a guy in the middle by the name of Brian Cavalcante, who's the preseason MEAC defensive player of the year.
And fortunately for the Hornets, if there's anybody in this conference that is up to the task, it's Brian Cavalcante. He's got the size to track down the ball carrier in the middle of the field. He's a run-stuff type linebacker that causes havoc in the opposition's backfield. If Cavalcante can get it going tonight, have a big game with big numbers, then the Hornets have a chance of pulling off the upset here in Greensboro.
His head coach is back home for his 2nd season at his alma mater. Rod Milstead was an All-American and All-MEAC performer on that offensive line that helped the Hornets to win a championship 3 times over back in the late 80s and 90s. And we'll see what he and his team have in store for the Aggies. On the other sideline is Sam Washington in his 2nd year, the reigning MEAC Coach of the Year. And Sam Washington had a terrific season last year, 10-2, and again, MEAC champs.
And 2 interesting storylines here. Rod Milstead wants to bring Delaware State back to where they were a long time ago, not in recent history. But I remember when Delaware State was one of the toughest road trips in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, where you went there, you knew you were going to play a hard-nosed football team. So what he's trying to do is make the Hornets hard-nosed in hopes that victories will follow.
Well, the history between these 2 teams shakes out as such, as North Carolina A&T has owned it the last 5 meetings.
But that goes to my point I was saying. Yeah. Remember I told you back in the day, Delaware State was tough to beat. Yeah. And we know how good A&T has been in recent years. And they still only lead this series by 2 games because when they had Coach Collick and Milstead and those guys there, Delaware State was a better team. We'll see if they can try and shrink that lead that North Carolina A&T has gotten over there in recent times.
The Hornets have 6 MEAC titles to their credit. Meanwhile, you're looking at the 2-time defending MEAC champions in North Carolina A&T State University. The Aggies coming in with a record of 2-1 on the season. And you see, they've pretty much controlled the MEAC as a whole. They have the crown. We'll see who can perhaps snatch it from him or them this season.
And that's a challenge. It seems like we've been asking that question for the past 4 or 5 years. A&T gets it going, and they don't stop. They're one of the most competitive teams out there. They've had a successful run, quite like any I haven't seen or this conference hasn't seen in a while. But they lost a lot of firepower from last year's squad, and there are a number of teams in this conference that think they have what it takes to knock off the Aggies.
And when you talk about losing some of that firepower, they graduated 22 from a season ago. go, including Lamar Reynard, great passer, one of the best in the MEAC to ever do it. Markel Cartwright as well, several players off of that defensive unit as well.
And I think when you look at the history of North Carolina A&T, I think what's really impressive, you win an HBCU National Championship, the Celebration Bowl, and you come back with a new head coach and win it again. So the beat goes on down here in North Carolina A&T. Sam Washington doing a great job replacing the legend, Rob Roth.
The Aggies will receive the ball first, and the first to touch it is Corey Banks, who transferred in from South Carolina. Banks is brought down just inside the 20-yard line, and that's where we'll get a first chance to see the new quarterback this season for the Aggies in Khalil Carter.
You see that there. Tough part about Khalil Carter's career, he was playing behind the winningest quarterback in the history of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference in Lamar Reynard, who you mentioned earlier. But Carter, to his credit, he's had some quality playing time for the Aggies. More importantly, I know all Aggie fans will remember, he was the winning quarterback when they beat East Carolina a season ago.
You know, he had several winning moments, and he is 2-1 as a starter, making his 5th career start as an Aggie quarterback. And quickly out to Elijah Bell. We may very well call his name quite a bit, the big target on the outside.
When we talked to Delaware State, it seems like their game plan, not let Jermaine Martin get off, and if Khalil Carter and Bell can continue to hook up, they will settle for giving them those type passes.
Second down, going for Bell once more. High points the ball, brings it in, and a big catch on a first down, covered by Devin Smith. But when you have a big body like 6'1", 225, and an athletic receiver like Bell, that's tough.
That was impressive because Devin Smith is an NFL prospect. So they have him out there. He plays safety normally, but they're moving him out there on the corner to match up one-on-one versus Elijah Bell, and Bell got the best of him that last play.
So 2 quick passes, another one here, quick release and flicked out. He had a couple of guys over the top, but not able to complete the pass. Corey Banks was the intended target.
He's open. You got to hit that pass down the seam, and occasionally Khalil Carter takes a break. Let's call it takes a break with his footwork. I don't want to call it lazy footwork, but occasionally he'll relax a little bit, use that quick flick of the wrist instead of stepping in through his throw and making a more accurate pass.
Carter, who's a graduate student out of Austell, Georgia. Man in motion, that's Banks. And then just jumping off sides right there for the Hornets. Moses Dupree and Cavalcante look to have gotten there quickly.
Enter the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Tim, how do you stop a team from running the football, forcing the pass? Look how close the safeties are to the line of scrimmage, 6 yards back. So they're telling you, Mark's not getting involved in this game.
Once more, going into double coverage, a tough throw, and it's incomplete. The intended target was Jordan McDaniel. Tavares Sample may have gotten a hand on it.
And this is one here where Devin Smith is in fantastic position to make this interception, but the safety comes over and distracts him. Smith sees the ball. He's got a better break on it, but the safety being aggressive coming underneath.
For A&T.
Look at this. This is 3rd and 6. This is normally a pass situation, but they are keeping that box crowded. They refuse to allow Jermaine Martin an advantage with numbers. Look how tight that box is. Man-to-man coverage across the board.
So they want Carter to try to beat them. Banks brings it in, but short of the first down marker. Sample right there to hold him, and it brings up 4th down.
See, give credit to Delaware State winning the game of chess. Right? We know that they want to get Jermaine Martin the ball. They said, we'll give you a couple passes downfield, which they completed, but they did not give up on their philosophy of stacking the box, 7, 8 men in the box at all times to discourage the Aggies from trying to run the football.
Keenan Black back to receive it for Delaware State. The punter for North Carolina A&T, Michael Rivers, the sophomore out of Wilmington, North Carolina. This one in the air. That's a tough one. That's a great punt from
mistake.
Michael Rivers, and a big mistake there for the Hornets as they have a long way to go. That one, a 47-yarder.
And it's a mistake because as a return man, you put your heels on the 10-yard line. If you have to take one step back, let it bounce. It'll possibly go in the end zone. He's drifting and fields that ball inside the 5-yard line. That's a mental error, very preventable.
Well, Talib Bethea, the freshman, the true freshman coming in, who is filling in the shoes of Shane Smith, who went down with injury. Now he is the starting quarterback. He's taken the reins of the program. What are you looking to see out of him in this game, Jay?
Accuracy and improvement. I think he's a reactor passer right now, meaning the wide receiver has to come open and then he'll throw the ball. I want to see him anticipate a little bit more and throw those guys open.
Bryant Dallas on that first down carry to give them a little bit of breathing room and move the chains. So a good first down run, as we'll get a chance to see this North Carolina A&T defense. One of the best in all of FCS. And a carry again, and Dallas is brought down by Jermaine McDaniel, a name that coaches are really high on. They feel like he's a guy who's been a bright spot for them.
It all starts and ends for the Aggies with that defensive line. A hallmark of the Aggies over the past couple of years has been their defensive line is just better than your offensive line. Very tough to run the football against, one of the best in the country year in and year out. And they challenge you to throw the football.
Quickly out to Trey Gross, and Gross is dragged down by Mac McCain, Franklin McCain Jr., a name that we would love to hear more of, and we finally get a chance to call his name. This is his first game back since a season-ending injury a year ago that took him out with a torn ACL.
All-American cornerback Mac McCain. More than just a name, he is a bona fide NFL prospect, the guy that makes you go in that secondary, and good to see him back on the field, one of the best players in the country at his position.
He led the nation in interceptions as a freshman. That led to that All-American status. Now 3rd and 5 for the Hornets, and just bottled up and nowhere to go is Bryant Dallas with a swarm of blue jerseys around him. Leon Smalls in on that tackle.
When A&T is rolling, you almost feel like it's a waste of time trying to run the football. Look how they control the line of scrimmage. How many blue jerseys do you see behind the initial line of scrimmage? That's dominating the line of scrimmage, and that's why they have so much success against the run.
The defense has led the MEAC the last 4 years in total defense, and so good showings from both units in the opening possession for both. Punt gets off, and Corey Banks watches that high bounce, and then he's brought down quickly at the 40-yard line. So we'll step aside quickly, come back with us to Greensboro.
Grab your balloons and invite your friends.
Back here in Greensboro, good look at the blue and gold marching machine here at North Carolina A&T State University. Founded in 1891, and when you think about just all that they have done in just a short amount of time, you see that enrollment number there? Better than 12,000 students enrolled here. Terrific programs on all fronts, engineering, nursing, among others. They got it going on right now, Jay.
False start, offense, number 79, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Newsflash, that was last year's enrollment. The 12,142 was last year's enrollment. They are growing leaps and bounds, and talk to folks around here, they say that number's closer to 14,000 students now. The largest HBCU in the country.
And they have plenty to show for. We're seeing one great example here in first carry of the ball game for Jermaine Martin, and he's continuing to plow over people and run them over. Jawan Granger in there on that stop.
I love the intensity, right? This is to set the tone. I don't care how many people you have. We're going to run the football, period, even in passing situations. And what does Martin do? comes up with a nice, impressive first ball carry in this game.
Well, you called it, Jay. It was a chess move by the Hornets coaching staff to say, hey, I'm going to dare you to throw the ball. But once they handed off to Jermaine Martin, picked up 7 on the first down play.
Yeah, look at this. I mean, versus trips, they're going with a bare front. They're covering all 3 interior linemen, outside linebackers up, 7-man box versus trips formation. You got man-to-man coverage across the board. You have to be able to complete some passes. Quickly
out to Elijah Bell, and Bell is still on his feet. He gets to the outside near the sideline, and that might be good enough for a first down, and very close to the marker. So Elijah Bell, a 3-time All-MEAC performer.
This is football. And watch Bell, but watch Cavalcante, number 7, come out of the picture to finish off this tackle. Poor tackling, but who chases him down on the sideline? Number 7, the inside linebacker. That's that energy level you like to see from a player of that caliber.
And pushing ahead and getting the first down and more is Khalil Carter. And Carter at 5'10", about 230, is mightily strong. He's got some load with him.
Now it's a sign there. You've got a big quarterback, and we're starting to see this offensive line for A&T maybe increase their intensity a little bit, saying we know you're going to have more numbers in the box against us most of the game, but starting to show some muscle, some flex, still able to run the football.
4 new starters up front for A&T along that offensive line. And again, you see the Hornets trying to anticipate that snap count as Carter moves out of the pocket, tucks it, and runs. He's got some room, and he's pushed out just near the 25-yard line. Devin Smith was the man to push him out.
One of the few times we've seen zone coverage here from Delaware State defensively, but nobody keeps an eye. You play zone so you can peek in the backfield, but everybody turned their back to the quarterback. Nice decision by Khalil Carter to choose to run the football.
21-yard gain for Carter.
Look at this little stack formation. They've got a number advantage down low.
He just bounces it over to Banks, bringing the pressure. Was Tavares Sample from his strong safety position. So Carter, who has had to make that adjustment to being the full-time quarterback, as he was one of the best backups in all of FCS, came in some big moments. Now he is at the helm. To Martin. Martin tries to get to the outside. Sheds one tackler, does a little bit more, and he's in for the score! 24-yard scamper for Jermaine Martin, picking up where he left off against Charleston Southern a couple weeks ago.
Great runners find ways to finish off great runs. And you're going to see Jermaine Martin realize they've got number count, but once I make one man miss, shows off the jets and the speed, able to finish off the run for the score for the Aggies.
6 plays, 60 yards on that drive for the Aggies as A&T jumps on the board first in their MEAC home opener. The point after attempt is good by Noel Ruiz, but Jermaine Martin, he's a man, he's a dude. 5 touchdowns on the season. Holla at your boy anytime you need me. I can find that end zone.
Perfect harmony. It takes a mix.
Chex Mix.
ESPN College Football is presented by McDonald's and in part by Mountain Dew. Do the do.
Tarico, and one of the most electrifying players in all of college football, a 4th-round draft pick now with the Chicago Bears, and I'm sure that Sam Washington and this Aggie family wouldn't mind seeing him suit up one more time, but they got a guy by the name of Jermaine Martin who has filled in quite nicely and taking over in that backfield.
And what I liked about Tariq Cohen, every time we were in the building, when it was a TV game,
yeah,
he showed out. He showed out. He was a highlight film for TV and a pleasure to cover during his 4 years here and left North Carolina A&T as the conference and school all-time leading rusher. Nobody did it better than Tariq Cohen.
And deciding not to bring it out.
Talking about Tariq Cohen running the football, Tariq saw a lot of these stats. I want you to count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in this box to stop the run. Not enough. When that happens, that deflates you as a defensive coordinator. If you can't get it with a box like that, stop a guy from breaking a long touchdown run, could be a long night.
And on the kickoff, there was a penalty marker on the field. We'll hear the call.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, Delaware State number 58, taunting. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
And those are the types of things that you don't want to see if you're Rod Milstead. When we talked to him this week, he said we have to improve on those mental mistakes and reduce those penalties.
And that's what it's been. I mean, we saw the mistake on the special teams, fair catching the ball on the 2-yard line, giving your offense bad field position. Now they kick the ball into the end zone and you get an unsportsmanlike conduct. Once again, giving your team bad field position against one of the ranked teams in the country and the #1 team in HBCU football.
North Carolina A&T coming in at number 15 in the recent FCS poll. And the handoff. And Dallas goes a little bit of nowhere. Jermaine McDaniel was in on the stop, the redshirt sophomore out of Dillon, South Carolina.
And I think Rod Milstead, his patience will be tested in this game. You're falling down 7-zip. That's not much. Defense played okay except for that long run that you gave up. However, I think you can't afford to have your quarterback, Bethea, the freshman, exposed against his defense. You've got to play it slow, deflate the football, keep him on the field as long as possible. Long snap counts, simplify the looks, and hope that somebody makes a big play for you.
Bethea was 11 of 32 last week in that loss to Howard, which was the Hornets' first conference game of the season. He completes the pass to Kawana Colley, and Colley, who has been the best receiver for this team this year, brings in the catch. And a player is down on the field. Looks to be Joseph Stuckey, but we go back to Colley, and Colley is a guy who's really taken ownership of his receiver position for Delaware State. So the trainers come out to take a look at Joseph Stuckey, and we'll step aside. Linebacker Joseph Stuckey up after the injury, being aided on the sideline. Let's look how it happened here.
You see just a cut block there. Bryant Dallas, legal block there, trying to protect his quarterback, clear the passing lane, and unfortunately for Stuckey, that right leg just kind of got caught behind him. Good clean play, that's football.
So Stuckey goes to the tent, and for him now is Stephen Davis, number 48. And the handoff to Dallas, and Dallas again met by a couple of blue jerseys. Justin Cates was in on the stop.
You see what I mean by sometimes it just feels like you're really wasting your time running the football against North Carolina A&T. They are committed to not allowing teams to run on you. They lead FCS defenses every year in rushing defense allowed. What I did like before was if they are going to be so aggressive against the run, simplify the passing attack for your freshman quarterback. Just give him a hitch route, a curl route, a go to make him easy throws for their quarterback.
Really stingy on that run defense, not allowing less than 100 yards. And trying to pick off that one was Mac McCain, and McCain was reading that one all the way. Just couldn't get his hands on it.
Matt McCain said, Jay Walker, I wish you would throw a hitch over here. That was the hitch route they went to, and McCain baited him and almost had a pick six.
So 3rd and 11. I'm still relatively deep in their own territory. What do the Hornets call here to just kind of get out of it?
You still have to stay conservative. It's still a 7-point game. A punt is not your worst play here. Interception, fumble, something of that nature. can't afford to have it, so I would be very conservative and try and protect my quarterback at all costs.
Well, this was one of the things that Rod Milstead told us he wanted to see his offense do a better job of, is get it going, because last week against Howard they had that opening and score, and then after that it really went stagnant.
Howard's not known for being a defensive juggernaut, so they've got some things they have to fix on the offensive side of the football. But the key is with a freshman quarterback, and we talked to him, he said we probably need to scale back how complex our offense is until Bethea becomes that force and gets a little bit more comfortable. But we've seen them struggle running the football, and I think in an obvious passing situation, I'm curious to know if they can protect Bethea up front in the trenches.
Delaware State, located in the first state, Dover, Delaware, 1891 it was founded, and some notable alum, John Taylor, who happened to be a teammate of Rod Milstead on those great MEAC champion teams. Bethea with plenty of time, and he goes to the sideline, finds Cauley, but they say he was out of bounds, so that brings up 4th down.
And that's what I talked about earlier. He's a reactor type quarterback. He's not anticipating that out route. He waits till he comes open and throws it, and so often you'll see he's late with the throw. He had plenty of time here, but holding on to a little bit late. The young freshman's going to learn. Those guys like to hit you. Just because you get rid of football doesn't mean you can't get hit.
That was Leon Smalls delivering the blow after he released it. So Fidel Romo Martinez back to punt it. And Corey Banks catches it in the bread basket, and here he goes down the sideline, and not much room as he's run out. So on this next drive, we're expecting to see a little bit more of Jermaine Martin. I mean, look, we've talked about the stars of the past for A&T in that backfield. He's another rising one.
He is one, and when you're that good, sometimes you're going to see more people on defense closer to the line of scrimmage than you. I do believe, though, you try and stick with the game plan, and they need to establish some confidence in Khalil Carter, that he can hurt you from the pocket.
Martin not in on this first play of this offensive series. Kashawn Baker back there with Carter. He gets the handoff, goes along to the left side, and runs out of bounds. Baker, the senior out of Farmville, North Carolina.
And if I'm Khalil Carter, I'm begging Coach. Coach, it's man-to-man coverage. Every quarterback that's ever played the position has seen man-to-man coverage from Pop Warner to high school. Man-to-man coverage, the defense is challenging. And until you attack it, they will continue to play it. Khalil Carter needs to step up and make some throws versus man-to-man coverage.
And again, some movement up front from Delaware State. And that's Leaky Sue.
Offside. Defense number 78. Making contact with the center. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Sue was a 3rd-team All-MEAC selection a season ago as an offensive lineman. Moved over to the defensive side for the Hornets.
Yeah, got up to 345 pounds. That'll make you a run stuffer. From a big guard to a run stuffer.
That was just life happening, Mother Nature taking its course and doing what it does.
Too many cheeseburgers, that's all. You kind of complicated. Too much pizza.
Carter back to throw. Going for it and just overthrows Quinzel Lockhart. Smith once more on the coverage.
And I don't mind the throw there, the long incompletion, because you're sending a message to the opposing defense. You keep playing man-to-man, I'm going to beat you deep. See, when you see a lot of man-to-man with quarterback tip, you're not going to throw 80% versus man-to-man coverage. You may throw 50%, but you're going to hit them for like 15 or 30 for like 390 yards with 4 touchdown passes. So you have to learn to attack man-to-man coverage when you see it.
3rd and 4 from the 45. And Carter, quick step back, going for it on the outside, and Elijah Bell almost brought that one in. Remember, he had a terrific one-handed catch against Elon in the opening week for a touchdown. but can't haul this one.
How's that not pass interference?
Yeah. There looked to be a lot of contact there.
A lot. He jumped up over him earlier and prevented Bell from jumping. And you see Elijah Bell's strength is he comes down with 50-50 balls. Even when being held with the other offhand. Saw a couple NFL scouts here in attendance, and I asked them who you're here to see. Made it clear, number 13. He's on that NFL radar.
Another good punt there. This one drops into the end zone. Well, Saturday we'll have number 5 Ohio State and Nebraska from Lincoln, where the College Game Day crew will be as well. The Buckeyes have won the last 4 against the Cornhuskers, outscoring them 217-86. 7:30 Eastern on ABC and the ESPN app. Make sure you check it out. When you talk about those NFL scouts, Jay, with Elijah Bell, there's a few guys that could have some looks. You mentioned Devin Smith on the defensive side, but when you look at a guy like Elijah Bell, why do you think he stands out?
He dominates regardless of who he's playing against, and he's been a 4-year starter here since he was a freshman. Came here as a high school basketball player. With today's football landscape.
Jordan kick, unnecessary roughness. Receiving team number 2. Pass the distance to the goal. First down.
That's on Jihad Naybauer.
That's another poor mental decision to get called for this. He called unnecessary roughness. Oh, look at it. The guy's 7 yards out of bounds. You're still pushing him.
Still going, yeah.
I mean, an easy call for the official, but and the fact of just to finish up on Elijah Bell, what they're looking for now is who can make that back shoulder catch. The 50-50 ball is now part of the NFL. Elijah Bell does a great job of elevating, as we saw, coming down with some of those impossible catches.
More tough starting field position for the Hornets. And quickly out, Bethea finds Colley. Colley is brought down by Amir McNeil.
Simplifying the passing game. Half sprint to the right, turn around, 5-yard route. We'll take the completion. I like the play call because we know if you run the ball on first down, it's a wasted play. Now we're starting to see Delaware State realize they have to get creative on first down.
The handoff, and Dallas picks up a few more. Well, Delaware State's averaging just about 27 points a game, 140 yards on the ground. Thus far, having some success against the Aggies defense. You just got to keep turning away here in this first quarter. 3rd and 2 coming up for the Hornets. The handoff to Dallas, and Dallas with some moves, and he gets to the outside. Bryant Dallas looking strong on that run there. And coach said, hey, we need you to pick up first downs, and he did so there as Antoine Wilder missed the tackle. That's a pickup of 17.
Yeah, great run by Bryant Dallas there. Small hole, but a nice jump cut to get to the outside and showed some speed. And a very much needed first down for Delaware State.
And so again, just trying to slowly move that ball, slow methodical drives for the Hornets. Big first down as Richard Harris now gives Dallas a spell. And Harris up ahead in a strong run. They want to get him some more playing time, a senior out of Long Island, New York.
This was a great run. There was absolutely nothing there. And it was a good job by Richard Harris to make himself low. Look, they bottled him up pretty good. Now watch him get low. One cut, get the shoulder pads down, go underneath the blue jerseys that were looking for the ball carrier. One of the most exciting 5-yard runs you're going to see.
Brings the element of a little bit more power, bigger guy. And on the outside, and a great catch, almost but unable to haul it in was Angelo Gonzalez. He had it for a second and then couldn't hold on to it.
Yeah, makes the initial catch, but a great job by Amir McNeil of separating the arms. Once he has the catch, was able to get in there and separate the arms, create just enough space so the ball comes loose. No catch.
And McNeil has been one of those guys in the secondary, especially from that cornerback position, who up to fill in for McCain. And this one, fumble, bobbled, snap, just bounced off of Bethea. And lucky to recover that one. I don't know if there was some miscommunication between Bethea and his center, Dwight Chavis.
Yeah, the center forgot the snap count. I mean, you can tell there's nobody else moving. The offensive line sitting there. Center forgot the snap count. Delaware State fortunate to have the football, and they can punt it away.
And a player down for
Please
Delaware
reset
State.
the game clock to 2 minutes, 10 seconds.
Appears to be one of the offensive linemen, Matthew Dirks.
This is one of those things, like, first of all, when you're playing conference football games on the road, it's always tough. You never take for granted going on the road in the conference, but you have to elevate your game. You have to focus a little bit more. And Delaware State, they don't understand that sense of urgency. I mean, you have to play better special teams. You have to protect the football. You can't have the unsportsmanlike penalties that we've seen them have. And Rob Milstead has to do a better job of getting his team to understand what's at stake here, to play within themselves, to give themselves an opportunity to compete with North Carolina A&T.
First time the Hornets have been on ESPN in 4 years. Oddly enough, they were facing off against the Aggies last time they played. A fair catch called by Corey Banks.
Is that the MEAC SWAC challenge? I think it was. No, it would be MEAC SWAC challenge. But I know Tariq Cohen put on a show against Delaware State.
You can rest assured anytime that he had the ball in his hands, he was doing some damage. 3-time MEAC Player of the Year.
And then here's the one fault I would notice about North Carolina A&T. Defense is playing lights out. Championship defense. As much as they've had the football in this first quarter, to be only up by 7. See, when that offense is clicking, you have Delaware State down 21-0 into the first quarter. If I'm a starter, I'm looking at where I'm going to celebrate second half. But still close.
Another player down for Delaware State. This is Brandon Shimko. The trainers are taking a look at Shimko.
It's consecutive plays. We've seen a Hornet football player on the turf.
And he's brought to his feet and being assisted to the sideline. Jay, when you're thinking about, North Carolina A&T is coming off of a bye week for Delaware State. They played Saturday hosting Howard, and it's a short turnaround for them to come back here and play on Thursday night.
It is, and A&T was eager to play coming off a bye week. You're eager, particularly Jermaine Martin, that man right there. Delaware State, you got to use a short week to your advantage. You're coming off a loss. I don't have to soak in that loss for 5 or 6 days. I only got 3 days to soak it in and let's go back to work for a business trip. They should have a sense of urgency. Look at this coverage. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, coming back there expecting Jermaine Martin to get the ball, and Martin is wrapped up.
I mean, that one there, that's a statement. I mean, look at the safeties coming down there early, like spying. They are putting 1 to 2 extra. That's not even 1 extra guy that you can't block. That is 2 extra defenders you can't block. Daring North Carolina A&T to throw the football.
Well, 2nd and 11 for Carter, who started out quickly with a couple of completions, but since then has had a tough time finding his man, and a flag coming in there after the ball went over the head of Corey Banks.
And there is a flag on the play.
Take a look at it. You could always question if it was a catchable pass.
Interference. Defense number 20. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That's what I always say. Pass interference means the ball can be ruled uncatchable, not the whole variety.
Tavares Sample was the guilty party there.
Ball was a little bit high, but I guess the official thought it was close enough in play where he would have been able to make a play. There was contact there. I just think the only question you would question is how catchable was that pass.
That one in the hands of Elijah Bell. That's good enough for a first down. Well, you know, the good news, Jay, is that we have the luxury of having the national coordinator of officials, Rogers Redding, in our booth. Yeah, so Rogers, can you kind of put a bow on that?
Yeah, sure. That was a catchable pass. These guys are so good and so fast to get the ball, so I think the catchable pass. The rule says you can't have an obvious intent to impede the receiver from getting the ball, and you had that there. You had the arm bar, he's grabbing at him, so that was a good call.
Now, if the ball's maybe a foot higher, you call it uncatchable, or is it still to the point where, hey, the arm bar was there, even if it's high?
No, but if it's to rule it uncatchable, it's got to really be uncatchable.
Okay.
It's got to be obvious to everybody that he had no chance at all of getting to the ball.
First quarter winding down. 2nd and 7 for the Aggies, just near midfield. The handoff to Martin, and Martin, some strong running from Jermaine Martin, who transferred over from Coastal Carolina. And so a strong first quarter for North Carolina A&T on the ground. 7-0, the Aggies lead after one. Thursday night here on the campus of North Carolina A&T State University. The Aggies on top 7-0 as we start the second quarter. The handoff to Jermaine Martin, and Martin is swallowed up by a number of white jerseys. Brian Cavalcante among them, as we mentioned in the open, the preseason MEAC Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I'll give credit to the offensive coordinator, Eric Day. You see Cavalcante there. What do you do when you got a middle linebacker that's a ball hawk? Give them some misdirection. So what we've seen North Carolina A&T start to do when they are running the football, it's off a counter action. They're faking it to the left, cutting back right, realizing with a full box of Delaware State's put in there and Brian Cavalcante in the middle, running the ball, not going to be the easiest path to success.
1st and 10. Carter drops back, looks for his man on the outside, and once more it's Elijah Bell, who he targeted several times in that first quarter. 5th catch of the ball game.
It starts with good protection. Once you get the protection, you realize you've got one-on-one matchups. Hurt the defense. Throw the ball downfield. Don't settle for 3 or 4 yard throws. Attack a man-to-man coverage.
A gain of 16 for Bell.
Bell's got good size. Talk about why they like him. 6'2", 225 pounds. Athleticism, that fast twitch you like to see in wide receivers.
Man in motion is William Simpson, the fullback, and you just try to run behind him, and finding a hole is Jermaine Martin for the score. yards for the TD run. Jermaine Martin does it again.
He's making his carries count. Doesn't have a lot of carries and attempts, but he's got 2 touchdowns on the night. You'll see this. I mean, when they're stacking the box, they bring in a fullback and William Simpson to seal the edge, and the rest is all Jermaine Martin, the FCS Offensive Player of the Week from his last performance out, picking up right where he left off.
Well, he had a couple of big runs against Charleston Southern of 84 and 76 yards. That one, a 28-yard run, 7 plays, 80 yards, and over 3 minutes for the Aggies.
I mean, look, 1 cut, and he accelerates fast. You know, that's what they talk about. Hey, he can get from 0 to 60 in 2 steps, and you saw it right there. You know, you heard me say it. We said it a couple times. A&T is the hottest HBCU in the country.
Yes. Wow.
And everybody's asking me questions why. I'm going to give it to you right now. We got the #1 football team at HBCU. The women's track team is the #1 HBCU track team. The men's track team, last year, their women's basketball team went undefeated. They've got the largest enrollment student population, and to top it off, they were recently ranked #1 by U.S. News and World Report. That's the #1 public HBCU. Now, I'm a Howard guy, so I can take that.
Okay.
But you're from Florida A&M. That's a public HBCU,
and they happen to rank. And they happen to rank #2. Look, you have to give credit where credit is due, and they got it going on.
And you know
Point
what else?
blank. Period.
You know what else I could have put on there? They've got the most improved band in the past 5 years that I've seen. The Blue and Gold Marching Machine is legit. They're almost a top 5 band. They're not quite making it, but they're close.
Well, Kale deciding to bring it out and loses the football. It's on the ground.
And there's a fumble on the return.
And the Hornets are able to recover.
It is recovered by the Hornets.
So dodging a blow right there as Kale brought it out, and looked like Stephen Davis stripped it out.
At their own 20-yard line.
And I think you go back and you think about all the #1s. How about the top defense in MEAC the last 4 years?
Easily the top rush defense in the country the past couple of years. And you run the football against them, you pretty much waste their time. They like to say stopping the run is like eating chicken down here. And not trying to make a joke out of it. That's really what they call it.
Yeah.
And they just, they like to eat chicken.
Yeah, yeah. Rod Broadway, the former head coach here, said, look, we do chicken. Now, I think that was a few years back against North Carolina. Said, you know, how are you going to stop this ACC opponent? He said, we do chicken. You know, we don't do burgers. We don't do fish. We do chicken.
And it makes sense because I'm not going to Popeyes looking for a hamburger or KFC looking for a hamburger.
And it works. Sam Washington has continued on. And look, he had the keys to the Corvette, and he hasn't changed anything. It's worked well for him because his defense continues to stand people up. That was Jermaine McDaniel in on that stop.
You want to get another piece of chicken? It's just incredible how they get better at it and better at it at stopping the run, making teams so one-dimensional. And this is just a 4-man defensive line. They're not blitzing people, doing run blitzes to stop the run. They've got their 4 defensive linemen. They get up front, and they get after it.
We're at the 20-yard line of the Hornets. They're just trying to get something moving because you have a feeling that this defense is going to continue to keep coming. That's Jermaine McDaniel again. We mentioned he's been a bright spot, and he's got a motor on him for sure, Jay.
Call him that dude. He's that dude for him. So when they've got the run stuffer stopping the run, whenever it's an obvious pass situation, McDaniel's that guy that they think is going to be one of the all-time greats. We're talking about a defensive line that saw Daryl Johnston get drafted to the NFL this past draft. Well, McDaniel's next up for the Aggies.
3 and out for Delaware State. And the Aggies could very well have great field position and just moving around to avoid the defender. That's Fidel Romo Martinez. Banks picks it up, has a blocker in front of him, across the 40-yard line, the 50, and he trips himself up. And that's where the Aggies will start on the other side of the break.
It goes round and around.
Our next UFC event on ESPN Plus is Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern from Copenhagen, Denmark, with Jack Hermanson taking on Jared Cannonier, in the middleweight main event. To order the main card in English and Spanish, go to ESPNplus.com and be sure to download the ESPN app if you're watching from your mobile device. First and 10, Khalil Carter, and quickly met on that reception was Corey Banks. In to greet him was Naybauer.
Can I give a shout out? Just because I remember a couple years ago coming down here, and I was like, North Carolina A&T, you've got the best football team in the country, right? Ranked in the top 10. We did a Thursday night game here. They probably had like 3,000 people. Aggies are in the house tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I call it like I see it. I tell them all the time. And this tradition is growing. And once they start packing this stadium, even more so like they have been doing on Saturdays, it becomes a more intimidating environment to play in, if it's not already intimidating enough because of the football team.
Jay Walker, Tiffany Green here with you at the two-time defending MEAC champions in North Carolina A&T, 14-0 lead. Kashawn Baker continuing to run hard, spinning around, and near the first down marker brought down by Alexander Lozano.
Where do they keep getting these running backs from, Tiff? It's like you don't have A&T without a running back, and look at the moves there in small space. But if I'm a 5'6", 170-pound running back, I want to come to A&T and be the next Tariq Cohen.
But you go back to Mike Mayhew, Maurice Hicks, Maurice Smith, Markel Cartwright, in addition to Tariq Cohen. Jermaine Martin is that guy now, and Kashawn Baker also coming in strong with that run. 3rd and 1. Baker in motion, but they also have a quarterback who is nice on his feet as well. And Carter picks up the first down and a little bit more.
And I think this is that drive. If you're head coach Sam Washington, you're telling the team, let's go put this thing away. Let's force feed the run a little bit. We've got good field position. Now it's time to try to take it to Delaware State. Try and beat up on them, expand that lead, and try and eliminate hope. That's the key. You want to eliminate hope of an upset.
Quickly out, and first time Zachary Leslie has been targeted, the redshirt junior out of Lawndale, North Carolina. You know, he was that guy last year who really emerged alongside Elijah Bell.
Yeah, they thought they needed a complimentary piece to him, and he's got a nice size. Talking about 6'3", 200-pound guy. They've got weapons. They've got weapons. I just think it all depends on what type of night Carter has on a weekly basis.
Running behind, big number 46, and Baker, while tripped up, gets the first down. Cavalcante is there on the stop, and a penalty marker is on the field.
Good enough for a first down, but there's a flag on the play.
Jason Soisman and his officiating crew here from BB&T Stadium tonight.
Personal foul. Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense number 48. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
And again, it goes back to being disciplined on all facets of the game.
The Aggies have now entered the Zaxby's red zone.
And Milstead said, look, we have got to reduce our penalties. We've had double digits each week that we've come out and play. And we can't shoot ourselves in the foot.
The ball down here to Leslie, one-on-one coverage in the end zone.
The receiver's top of the screen instead. Carter looking left, pressure coming his way, and he's overthrown. And then on that pressure was number 57, Moses Dupree.
The right matchup you take, but not the double move. You don't need the pump fake here. I think you sit there and you give him an opportunity to make that play in the end zone, and he took a good hit from Dupree for that decision.
So Carter and the Aggies making their first trip to the red zone. 8:37 to go here in the first half. Rolls out to his left, called his number all the way. And Neubauer delivers the hit. A pickup of 5.
And getting away from the smash mouth. They brought in the big fullback. I anticipated them trying to go downhill a little bit of running.
Stop made by the safety.
But Delaware State trying to make it tough on the Aggies. Be careful, though. They did just bring in number 13 at the top of your screen, Elijah Bell. Think nicely him one-on-one. I anticipate the ball going there.
Instead, they find Corey Banks for the strike and touchdown.
Carter's pass is complete to number 2, and it's another.
Corey Banks Banks, who comes out of that slot position. They feel like he's a speedy guy, can make some good things happen with the ball in his hands, and that was just easy.
And if Carter can make good decisions like this is an unbeatable team. Great job. They're bringing the pressure, the blitz, doesn't get to him in time, attack the man-on-man coverage with a crossing route. Nice job by Corey Banks. And that's why you say, if Carter can play, this team is awesome.
Well, Khalil Carter says, I can be that one. He's in. He finds Corey Banks for the score.
Do it over again. Honey Nut Cheerios, it goes round and around.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Voya Financial, helping you to and through retirement. Learn more at Voya.com.
Welcome back into Greensboro as North Carolina A&T on top 21-0. And I think the question that everyone is asking, Jay, is do they have the ability to repeat? The Aggies certainly look like they have the talent. They will perhaps go as far as Khalil Carter will take them.
That's my simple answer. Khalil Carter. Khalil Carter can play at a high level. I see this team making it back to the Celebration Bowl. The question I had coming into the game was their offensive line. They've done a decent job against an unorthodox defense from Delaware State that's doing a lot of blitz and a lot of extra man in the box, and they're rising to the occasion tonight.
Well, what's it going to take for Talik Bethea and the Hornets to get going? You see 57 penalty yards. That's more than their total yards of offense.
Yeah, I like the fact that they simplify the playbook, but they've also just got to execute the little things. They've got to take it one play at a time. And the times I've seen North Carolina A&T struggle is when you use their aggressive nature against them. That defensive line is going to flow. They're going to sell out to stop the run. Well, you got to wash them down and then take it back against the grain.
Bethea out to Angelo Gonzalez, and Gonzalez with the pickup of a couple. And if you're just tuning in, let's remind you that Bethea is a true freshman out of Staten Island, and so he was thrust into this starting role with Shane Smith going down. And this is a guy who enrolled early. He finished in December. Then he enrolled a couple of weeks later at Delaware State. And now here he is, the starting quarterback.
Tough assignment. And this may be the toughest assignment he's going to have in his career at Delaware State. Taking on the Aggies for their opener and conference play on national television, where they're trying to make a good impression. And you just had the feeling that Sam Washington wasn't going to let a freshman quarterback come in here and have a good night. Where can some of the complementary players emerge from? How can you get the ball to Collie, number 80? We haven't called the name of Charles Peeler yet. They're slot receivers who can make some things happen.
So now Bethea looking at 3rd and 5 from the 30-yard line, their own 30-yard line. Set back to pass and goes to the outside. And Gonzalez was his intended target, but I think the officials are having a quick discussion.
There is a flag on the play.
There's a flag on the play.
Personal foul. Tripping. Offense, number 75. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
4 personal foul penalties against the Hornets.
And the number of yardage compared to penalties increases.
So back-to-back 3-and-outs for Delaware State. And if you're Eric Day and you're the offensive coordinator, you got to be scratching your head of, okay, well, what can we do? What can we execute in keeping it simple?
And it's not just versus A&T. I mean, they struggled against Howard University. That's disappointing because I believe in the game before that they had an impressive performance versus Lincoln. Put up a number of points, but right now, the beat goes on. If you're a fan of Delaware State, you don't know what you got to do. But if you're Aggies, you know what you're saying right now? Aggie pride.
03.
Nice crowd on hand as the Aggie faithful seeing their team with a 21-0 lead here in the second quarter over Delaware State. We saw a couple of Jermaine Martin touchdown runs and Corey Banks with a TD catch, and that's how we work our way up to that 21-0 score. Aggies have the ball out of the break, and Martin on the carry. And Martin is cut down. Well, Jermaine Martin, I guess that question of, just how good would he be, came over from Coastal Carolina, backed up Markel Cartwright, but he picked up about 656 yards a season ago, and now he is the go-to guy. He's done a nice job this season so far for the Aggies, and plenty more ball to play as conference play begins for A&T.
You think? How many yards did he rush for against Coastal Carolina?
Against Charleston Southern? Yep, 299.
299.
Yeah.
They beat Elon, been impressive. And I like Markel Cartwright a season ago. He was tough. He had backed up Tariq Cohen his career, so it was his time to shine. But you saw Martin when he played last year say, this dude's got something. And when we talked to Coach Washington, he said, Jay, you kind of told me that last year. And I said, yeah, he's got that extra little pep in his step. He's a difference maker. Kind of the total package there. Shifty, explosive, powerful.
And when you watch him run, coaches described him as that he is really physical at the point of attack. Break down an analysis for me, Jay.
When you got that power, the hole's never going to be wide open. It's never going to be a big hole, but if you get grabbed around the shoulder, you have that power to run through an arm tackle. Does the first tackler bring you down? Even if you go down, you have that lean to pick up 2 or 3 yards, even when they've got good defense.
They swing it out to Corey Banks, and Banks hauls in the catch. Zachary Leslie helped to spring him with the block and pick up of 8.
When we talked to Coach Washington about Martin, he says he likes the fact that he covers up sometimes bad offensive line play, and that's what a great runner is going to do. If you tackle me, if you make contact with me behind the line of scrimmage, is it going to show up as 2nd and 13, or can I get it to 2nd and 8 by that forward lean? And Jermaine Martin has shown he's that guy.
First and 10, man in motion, and Carter moving out to his left, avoids a little bit of pressure, decides to tuck it and run, and that's the beauty of Khalil Carter. May not be the most accurate passer that you have on the field and can make those throws of, say, Lamar Raynard, but he can tuck it and get after it with his feet.
Yeah, not afraid to run the football, and that's been his thing throughout his career, where, yes, he's a throw-first guy, but doesn't mind mixing it up a little bit, getting out in open space and using that frame, and look at him try to deliver a blow to the defensive back.
Couple yards on that Carter run. And there, just out to Elijah Bell, just easy pitch and catch for Carter. When you go back to, kind of what you were speaking of that offensive line, that was a concern or question mark, is how well they would hold up. Marcus Pettiford is the only returning starter from a season ago, first team All-MEAC selection from last year. And this is a guy who is helping to solidify the Aggies up front. He, along with Dante Keys, are really strong from their tackle position.
4-year starter experience, and they know how to teach a line play here. Brandon Parker was a draft pick starting left tackle for the Raiders. Came to call them Oakland Raiders or Vegas Raiders, but, so they know how to teach it here. And he's a guy that's got an opportunity, but I really like what I saw number 79, Keys, Dante Keys, right tackle, just a junior, played a lot, and he's really stepping up this year.
Yeah, 9 starts last year, beat out a grad transfer, and was selected as a preseason first-team All-MEAC selection. Getting the Call from the sideline, 2nd and 5, as the Aggies are content to take their time with the big lead here in the first half. Carter to Bell, and Bell has one man to beat, and he's tripped up in the secondary by Naybauer. Jihad Naybauer was there as Devin Smith had the first attempt at him. He missed that tackle.
Man-to-man coverage, you want crossing routes, slant routes, dig routes, coming across the formation. Great job of recognizing the coverage, delivering a catchable ball, and Elijah Bell does the rest.
A 20-yard gain, and we see another player go down for the Hornets. It's been a long first half for them. Devin Smith is the one who's getting attention right now. We'll step aside quickly and come back to Greensboro when you come back. I did.
Strawberry chocolate!
Anything goes in old El Paso.
Devin Smith on the sideline, and you have to think, does that short week for Delaware State affect these players in any way, as they're down 21-0 to A&T, as the Aggies are continuing to drive the ball down the field. Carter has completed 8 of his last 9 passes for 81 yards and a TD pass. And so you see slow but steady the playmakers for A&T making plays. Elijah Bell on the perimeter. You've mentioned him a couple of times. He's at the top of your screen with trips right. 7 catches, 88 yards. Just trying to run down that play clock. Carter throws it over, and is it a catch? Yes, they say it is. Corey Banks just near the goal line, and what a catch by Corey Banks. They say he's a special guy. You got to watch out for him. And that was a tough catch he hauled in for 23 yards.
It was in the end zone, but off the juggle. They're going to take a look at that one.
Oh, yeah.
But he was in the end zone, then bobbled it a little bit. That ball hits the ground. He got the snap off.
In time, and just in time for Jermaine Martin to pick up his 3rd touchdown of the night.
It's a touchdown for North Carolina A&T.
Tough break, but way to take advantage of it. If you're North Carolina A&T, hurry up, get to the line of scrimmage, get the ball snapped to Jermaine Martin, who's having a fantastic night, and expand your lead.
Well, coming off the 3rd best rushing performance in school history with that 299 yards against Charleston Southern, he is nearing the century mark once again, and he's got 3 scores to go along with it.
And with 1 minute, 40 seconds to go in the first half, North Carolina A&T.
Get a good look there. Sean Gibbs, the running back coach from North Carolina A&T. And once again, tough one there. They got up to the line of scrimmage. I think if there was a review, might have probably would have overturned it. I was a little surprised they didn't take the initial review, but give credit to the Aggies for punching it in right away.
Oh, this is the time. This is the time in the stadium. This is swag surf time, Jay. The Aggies are feeling good right now. Hit it. Oh, they stopped it just before the kickoff. Everybody was wanting more.
The crowd's upset, too. I don't know who's more upset, the crowd or you, Tim.
They said we're going to do it anyway. We don't need any music.
That's where they got to get on the same page with the PA announcer here in the stadium to let it build up, marinate, time it out a little bit sooner. But like I said, you know, halftime and all this stuff, it's kind of new to the Aggies. Kind of new to the Aggies. We talked about, you know, their band and the football experience is getting better here on a weekly basis.
But a long-standing tradition within HBCU football. Everyone wants to see the game. They're really also interested in seeing what the bands do at halftime.
I want to see him as well.
Yeah, well, the blue and gold marching machine, we'll get a chance to see him in just about a minute and 40 of game time. And just where do they rank in your eyes? You talked about they were so improved. Jay, what about your power rankings for bands?
You see the top 5, so they don't make the top 5, but I got them on the bubble, so they would be most improved. The one I think they're gaining on quickly, close your ears, Tiffany, is Marching 100.
I'm very concerned about
Marching 100. I heard Southern went down there and put it on them. I heard Southern lost the football game, but they won halftime. Did you hear any of the same stories, Tim? Tell the truth.
I heard no such thing as the pass is complete to Trey Gross. But more importantly, that was a huge win for Florida A&M.
Yeah.
Long-standing rivalry between the two teams. And remember, it was the Rattlers who came in here last year and put the Aggies on their heels, vying for back-to-back MEAC titles.
Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference went 3-0 versus SWAC in head-to-head matchups, but all of them are close.
Yeah.
Mississippi Valley gave Bethune-Cookman a close game. Jackson State did as well.
Wrapped up and brought down. Leon Smalls was there to help apply the pressure along with Kadarius Kendrick.
And what North Carolina A&T can do with this four-man rush. I mean, they've got 2 guys collapsed in the pocket. Their defensive line is better than the offensive line for Delaware State. And that's going to be a problem. That's why I think you see Delaware State not doing hurry-up offense. They're going to get to the halftime and try and protect this quarterback for the second half.
2nd and 16, under a minute to go. The Hornets trying to move it out to Colley, and Kawana Colley is roped down by Najee Reams, but he's able to get out of bounds.
And that's what you have to do. I think you have to just, although you don't want to, you want to throw the ball downfield because Bethea has a strong arm, but I do believe you've got to protect them. They showed you that with 4 defensive linemen, North Carolina A&T can get to your quarterback.
And you have to be careful here because you don't want to give A&T the ball back before the half, depending upon what they're able to do here on 3rd down. Bethea shakes one, can't shake the other, and he's dropped. Michael Branch and Devin Harrell in for that loss of 2.
And that's when it becomes impressive. When you can't block a 4-man rush, that separates the men's from the boys.
It looks like the Hornets may be content to let this one run down. About a second or 2 differential between the play clock and the game clock.
I don't blame him. It's been a pretty dominating performance by North Carolina A&T. And when you're the champion playing at home, that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, just a reminder to our viewers, coming up at the half, we'll have HBCU news and notes, plus Gimme 5, the quarterbacks ahead of their time. That could really be interesting, along with highlights and stats. You want to stick around.
I love that list. The list I put together, I always love it because it's Jay's Gimme 5.
Yeah, it's Jay's Gimme 5, but it's also because you're a former quarterback. And so, you know. Yeah,
that's the most sexy position in sports, quarterback. I'm giving the people what they want. But I was going to compliment you and say, I like this list because this week I actually took a little input from you.
I did.
All right? Well, one of your folks might have made the list, maybe not. But I think it's a comprehensive list, something I've always want to talk about. Quarterbacks ahead of their time. We're not just talking HBCU quarterbacks, period. That if they were playing today, they'd be something.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
They called a timeout, and then they took a delay game.
Right. They were just content to just snap the ball, go into the locker room, and try to regroup down 28-0.
And I think here you either hand the ball off or you tell your quarterback take a couple steps back and then take a knee.
Instead, Bethea Looks to gun it down the field. Has Angelo Gonzalez. And Gonzalez is in and out of his hands. So as you mentioned, Jay, a dominating performance by North Carolina A&T, and Sam Washington has to like what he's seen thus far. And this MEAC home opener, they're on top 28-0. We'll try into the locker room, take a little time. Meanwhile, Aggie pride going strong here from BB&T Stadium in Greensboro. We'll see you on the other side for this Thursday night action.
43569.
Greensboro, North Carolina is home to the International Civil Rights Center and Museum, which is devoted to teaching the struggles for human and civil rights around the world. You may remember hearing about the Greensboro Four, North Carolina A&T students David Richmond, Franklin McCain, Joe McNeil, and Ezel Blair at the time began the sit-in at the whites-only lunch counter at Woolworth's department store. The peaceful protest lasted 5.5 months before businesses in the area agreed to serve African American, and that movement helped lead to desegregation in North Carolina. Today, a statue honoring the Greensboro Four sits on the campus of North Carolina A&T. And we thank them for all that they did in helping to change things. Back here at BB&T Stadium, the blue and gold marching machine rocking out 28-0 advantage for their Aggies. Jay Walker, Tiffany Green, and taking a look at some of the news and notes around historically black colleges and universities. University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Everybody better watch out. They have put folks on notice.
Roar. That's what Lions do. They roar 3-1. This team was 2-9 a season ago. Quality wins. They put up 52 points versus Alabama A&M. Win upset Tennessee State. They got a running back by the name of Keyshawn Williams. He's a special guy. You better get to know who he is.
Okay, so State Fair Classic, one of the hottest classics in black college football.
But this year, because both teams have struggled a little bit, they've each got one loss in conference play. I think whoever loses that game, their season's done. I can't see them making it out of that SWAC West division, with Southern being the favorite. Prairie View lost a tough one. Grambling lost one as well. So that game means something early in the season.
And lastly, the new coaches in both the MEAC and the SWAC are having some troubles in their first season. Texas Southern, North Carolina Central, Morgan State, along with Howard, with a combined record of just 2 wins and 12 losses.
And most of that's been non-conference. I'll give them that. But, you know, we've always said for a while, these coaches in this conference always say, don't come into HBCU football and think you're going to out-coach us. It comes down to Norman, who has the best horses to go along with their game plan. And we're seeing some early season struggles in year one, which is not uncommon.
All right, so we'll have more from North Carolina A&T State University. Give me 5 is on the way.
Call us, go online, or download the app today.
1-800-CONTACTS.
We're back here in Greensboro, North Carolina. The blue and gold marching machine entertaining us during this halftime, along with Jay Walker. I'm Tiffany Green, and of course, we always have to do what?
Give me 5. All right, how about this, Tiff? We talked about it. I play quarterback. You know that. Sexiest position in sports. So how about 5 quarterbacks that were ahead of their time? What I mean, if they were playing in today's NFL, they'd be some of the highest paid by far. They're that good. Number 5, let's stick with HBCU. Doug Williams was ahead of his time back in 1979. Imagine what he would be worth right now. Led the Washington Redskins to a Super Bowl title. He could throw it, and what people don't realize, he was very fast when he came out of college. He could run. Number 4, I love athleticism, and the game has gotten more athletic. So how about John Elway? We know about the bazooka arm, but he could really run when he was there. Talk about a dual-threat quarterback, a little bit ahead of his time, even though he was #1 pick. What would he be like in today's NFL? Yeah. Number 3, Aaron McNair. arguably the greatest college quarterback in the history of the game. He's starting to get his due. When you talk about quarterbacks now that you are encouraging to run the football, when he played with the Tennessee Titans, he ran harder than Eddie George. Steve Nair would be one of the top 3 playing quarterbacks if you're playing in today's NFL. Number 2, it is the quarterback position. You got to be able to throw it. And nobody, I repeat, nobody, past, present, or in the future, will be able to say they can throw a football better than Dan Marino. With these bubble screens now and that quick release, Dan Marino would be up there. He could throw it better than anybody I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes.
I would say that's an impressive list, Jay. I like that. You've got a lot of dual threat options in there. So who talks out at number 1?
Number 1, and I played with him, Cash. Randall Cunningham. We called him Cash Cunningham. Randall was that guy that could throw better than you. He could run better than you. He could kick better than you. He could jump better than you. He was just that guy there. And if he were in today's NFL, without question, he would be the number 1 quarterback in the league like he was back then. But he would be the highest paid as well. So I see Cash Cunningham. I'm going to pay credit where credit's due. OTB, I took care of you, Tim.
Oh, yeah.
You brought this guy up.
I did.
Who'd you put on the bubble? I'll let you say it.
Steve Young. No, give me some love for that one. I thought that was pretty good.
Steve Young's on there because he had the ability to win, could throw the ball downfield, and was a great runner. Not a good runner, a great runner. So I think I gave you a little love, and I put Steve Young on there. But if you want to talk to us about it.
So could it be Jay and Tiffany's?
Absolutely not. But you can hit us up on Black College Live on our Twitter handle, and we'll listen to at least what you have to say.
All right, we'll be back with more just around the corner. Highlights and stats are on the way. Welcome back. Well, it was a dominating first half performance for North Carolina A&T, and you see the 28-0 score. Yeah, good on offense, but even better on defense. One of the tops in FCS football. And here's why, Jay. Here's a good little taste.
They're going to stuff the run. I mean, you're wasting your time running the football against them. They held Delaware State to just 4 first down. And it seemed like every time the Hornets tried to run the football, they were doing North Carolina A&T a favor. And then they figured out a way to get to the quarterback. This is one of the best defenses in FCS football, and they showed it tonight.
Jermaine Martin.
That dude, how do you top off having a career night? The last time you were on the field, he rushed for almost 299 yards. Well, tonight he's averaging 7.9 yards per carry, making his attempts count. And it was that long home run that he had that really started the thing going when he had the 28-yard for a score that really got the Aggies going.
And I think what stands out, Jay, is the fact that Delaware State, to your point about the Aggies defense, the Hornets have been held to 73 total yards in that first half. And look, they also didn't help themselves at all with those 7 penalties to go along with it.
And a lot of those penalties were the 15-yard variety. Coach Milstead knows he's got a tough job to do, but these are the things that the program has to learn from. And we'll see if they were able to make any type of second half adjustments. But if you ask me, I still think it's going to be a tough day at the office for Delaware State for the rest of the night.
All right, we'll be back with more second half starting when you come back.
Top layer. If home had a flavor, it would be Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese. I'm passionate about it.
ESPN football presented by McDonald's. Jay Walker, Tiffany Green here with you just about the start of the third quarter. And Jay, Sam Washington, what would you say?
Let's not do that. Let me get you on record. What you think about the little gold marching shit?
So you want to? I thought they had a really good sound. They were vibing. They had like a nice little reggae celebration.
I like the music selection of the band. I thought they did a good job with their selection. I need a little bit more bling. You know, I counted 12 sousaphones. I'm more of a, I like the size. I think they're good for what they've got here, but we've seen some of those monstrous bands down in the South. It'd be hard for them to crack that honorable mention.
Oh, but you know what?
On the bubble.
They're coming. They're coming. They're growing.
Yeah, 14,000 students. Yeah. You should have a band that's got about 500. I mean, imagine a little tiny Bethune in college university. I know, but down there, they
got a lot to say. The Wildcats might come and jump on you.
They got 3,000 to 4,000 students, and they got a band with 400.
I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Bringing it out is Aileen, and Aileen just gets across the 25-yard line.
And I know you were asking me about the football, too, before I took us in a different path. 28-0 game here on Thursday Night Football.
We could have some time to talk about it.
But, you know, you've heard me say it before, great coaches make adjustments in the locker room. So normally I judge a coach by the adjustments the teams make in the second half when it's a close ball game. But I think for Delaware State football, the measure is just going to be how hard do the Hornets compete in the second half. And I'm curious to see, are they going to continue to try to fight? Are they going to continue to make those mental errors? Or are they going to come out here and play, show us what potential they could have in the years to come?
Well, I'll tell you this. The Hornets had their best starting field position of the game, and they handed off to Bryant Dallas for the first yard pickup of just 2. But we'll see just how these young men respond being down by so much on the road.
And the 2 folks that impressed me the most from Delaware State were Dallas, the running back, but I think you have to get him the ball out of the backfield. And I thought that Quana Colley showed that he's got a step. He could be a problem if you can get him the football.
Well, Bethea with the defender in his face and just throws it behind Isaiah Williams, the tight end. And so you saw the pressure coming, and that's what Bethea has to deal with and has dealt with all game long as Kyan Howard coming up from his linebacker position to get in his face.
One of the things you hated as a quarterback is getting hit and not knowing where they're coming from. If I got hit by a linebacker or a safety, I can see it in front of me. I know what the blocking scheme was. But when you're getting hit by the front 4 all over the field, it makes you very frustrated as a quarterback.
3rd and 8, and Bethea once more seeing the pressure and just so tough to make a decision and survey the field when you see big number 93 Jermaine McDaniel in your face.
That motor, look at that look. I mean, the eyes say everything in that quarterback. Does he look like a confident quarterback? Does he know what's going on? He probably doesn't know what's hitting him, and it's not really his fault. They haven't shown the ability to protect him at all. And as a true freshman quarterback, you're asking him to do a lot. You're almost putting him in an impossible situation.
But it's oftentimes these types of uncomfortable situations where you have to grow up really fast, and perhaps the next time we see Bethea, it could be a different story. This punt takes a friendly Hornets bounce just near the 25-yard line, good for 46 yards. So a big night thus far from Jermaine Martin, not the 299 we saw a couple weeks ago against Charleston Southern, but he's closing in on 100 yards rushing, and as you mentioned, Jay, nearly 8 yards a carry.
They did that on 10 touches. If they were to give him the ball a little bit more, the numbers would go higher, and considering he did that versus 8, 9-man defensive fronts where they were committed to stopping him, that's a very productive first half for that young man.
Well, he's in the backfield along with Khalil Carter.
And they're doing it again, coming out, 8 men in the box, not letting Jermaine Martin get involved.
And that play whistle before it got underway. This one likely to go against the Aggies.
False start, offense, number 79 and number 60. 5-yard penalty, first down.
It's so funny because, remember, the first possession for A&T, we saw the Hornets come right at them, and there were all passes.
Yep. And then they made the adjustment. They said, hey, we have to get Martin involved. And once they showed that balance, they pretty much dominated from the middle of the first quarter on.
Three wide receivers set. Banks moving in. And once more, a flag on the field. The Aggies look to be heading in the wrong direction.
So they're not perfect. They look like a perfect football team in the first half.
There is no foul on the play. North Carolina A&T did not call timeout. Replay, first down.
All right, so perhaps they are still, very, very good, Jay. There was nothing on that play. But it's a nice battle between second-year head coaches Rod Milstead at his alma mater, Delaware State, Sam Washington. In his second season, Jermaine Martin is brought down by Granger.
And that's a fantastic open field tackle, because if Granger doesn't make that tackle and hold on for dear life, then Martin had some daylight ahead of him. Take a look at Granger, size him up. He's fighting. And that's a form tackle that you have to make at the line of scrimmage. Good job.
Granger, one of those walk-ons for Milstead who earned a scholarship, and he's a guy that they feel just keeps getting better and better. Played some cornerback last year.
And that's why you have to tell the Hornet fans to stay committed to the cause. They've got 4 walk-ons, former walk-ons that start on defense. You got to take a while to get your talent base on campus first, and then you can coach them up.
Tried to throw that one inside to Zachary Leslie, but as you mentioned, Jay, just staying the course because it just takes time to build a program.
And I think he showed signs last year, winning those games, 3 of the last 4. It's a right to have some enthusiasm behind the program and start to have some expectations. It's just a matter of what are those expectations. And I think we're seeing tonight that Delaware State's not quite ready to compete with the elite teams in the conference. But you take it one small victory at a time, and you're looking long-term, what you can build and how competitive they can become, not what they are now.
Well, they've got the Aggies in a 3rd and 13 situation, and Carter feeling some pressure and just plenty of real estate ahead of him, and a good run, and he picks up the first down.
Look at him smiling. I mean, he's one of those guys, he likes running the football. Not the #1 threat to run it, but when he picks his spots, athletic and mobile enough to hurt you with his feet where you got to respect him. He's coming off gimping a little bit.
And he may have been hurt a little bit. Jermaine Martin on the bench as well. And running back in some tape on his foot. Meanwhile, Jalen Fowler, the redshirt sophomore, is in now. Fowler hands it off to Kashawn Baker, and Baker spins around and picks up just about 5 yards, and he lands at midfield. So you see Carter getting worked out there on the sideline.
And Fowler, the folks around here give him a lot of credit. They had a really high transfer that transferred here from East Carolina, who everybody thought was going to challenge Carter. Well, at the end of the day, Ifedi couldn't beat out Jalen Fowler. He elevated the game of Jalen Fowler. So Coach Washington's staff excited about the future of the sophomore from England, South Carolina.
Baker again on the carry.
6'2", 231 pounds.
First and 5 for the Aggies.
Just his second game action of the season. A guy who they say has a pretty accurate arm, but just getting an opportunity to get some more experience as Carter is going into the tent to get some more treatment. So Fowler will be the signal caller for now. 3rd and 5 for his pass attempt, and it's behind Corey Banks. That brings up 4th down.
This is something, because you have to think that a guy like Fowler would have been ready to play tonight in this type of game, maybe the 4th quarter, but you get an opportunity to play this early in the contest, he should be excited. Take advantage of the opportunity.
Excited for sure, but sometimes, you just kind of got to get into a game rhythm yourself.
Not easy being a backup quarterback.
No.
I agree with you 100%.
Rivers boots it away and pinned deep.
Nice.
Inside the Hornets territory. A great punt by Michael Rivers, and the Hornets will start inside the 5-yard.
This is what conference play is about.
Kick kick off your Week 4 NFL Sunday with ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. Our Sunday NFL Countdown crew will have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, and preview each game right up to kickoff. You can always watch the show live on the ESPN app from anywhere. The handoff to Dallas, and Dallas with not a lot of room, as this is the third start on the 10-yard or less for Delaware State tonight.
That's why I mean the performance has been dominated by A&T. Offense, defense, and special teams. The special teams has pinned them inside their 5 a couple times.
Bethea with time has his man Collie, and Collie just dropped it. He was right there. And he may have been able to take that one to the house if he was able to hold on.
Yeah, good job by Collie. He was the guy I said he's got some wiggle. He seemed like he could be a difference maker, able to go by Mac McCain. Middle of the field open, nicely thrown ball. Collie, the junior from Staten Island, New York, you have to help out your quarterback from Staten Island as well, and Bethea.
That could have been the biggest offensive play for the Hornets tonight if he was able to haul that one in. Instead, it brings up 3rd and 8. Throws it, and he's blanketed right there as Charles Peeler collects his first catch of the ball game, the transfer out of Iowa State.
That's one of the guys I thought we could see making a difference for him. In the middle of the field with a team that's getting pressure on your quarterback, you need your slot receiver, your short yardage guy to make some plays for you in the passing game.
He felt like he's been a nice compliment to the bigger guys thus far. We'll see if he can be a little bit more active as Bryant Dallas on the handoff tries to spread it wide.
Dallas again on the carry.
And Joseph Stuckey, who we saw go down in that first half, is back in the game.
And this is a great play by Stuckey. Let me show you what Stuckey's going to do. He's going to come here, get penetration, and seal the edge. That means nothing gets by him to the outside. Watch him stick his shoulder in there. Get outside. You're trying to bring it here. Nope. He's holding the edge, and then making the tackle so the rest of the blue jerseys can come up and surround the football. Little things like that tell you how well coached this team is.
This one out to Gross. And Gross with a pickup of about 5. Brought down by Mac McCain. So now 3rd and manageable for the Hornets. And what do you dial up here?
So nothing's manageable when you can't protect your quarterback. And what you have to be careful of, we know Mac McCain, number 29, likes to jump routes. Everybody's assuming they're going to throw the ball short yardage situation here. I'm surprised they try and run it.
Play action and goes out to Gross. And a flag on the play as McCain was on the coverage.
And this is one of those tough ones because McCain kind of knew the route, and he beat the wide receiver to the route, coming back trying to get the reception.
Holding, defense, number 25. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yes, let me mess with Rogers here. Right? We got Rogers here. So my football knowledge is 3rd and 4. That was like a 5-yard route. He was really, might have been holding him a little bit first 2 or 3 yards, but he can get away with a little bit of that, can he?
I didn't see the action itself, but the rule is that if he's holding him before the pass is thrown, that's defensive holding. If it's after the pass is thrown, it's going to be pass interference. We didn't get a good look at the action itself, but
Bethea finds his man, and another drop pass there.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
Bottom of your screen.
All right.
Now, it seems like McCain is trying to jump the route to come. He recognizes it before the ball is coming.
Yeah, right.
But the ball was in the air, and he was grabbing it, though, so I see what
that tug on him there, right? Now, they could have called that pass interference, but either way, he's got a tug on him, grabbing him and not allowing him to get to the ball. So I think that's a good call.
And when you're thinking about Mac McCain, as we mentioned towards the top of the broadcast, you know, this is his first game of the 2019 campaign. All-American, all-MEAC performer who went down last October with a knee injury. So this is his first game action since then.
And although it was a pass interference, I don't think the defensive coordinator, Courtney Cord's going to mind, because McCain was reading his keys, and he was making a break on that ball, trying to get the interception, knowing the scout report, knowing this is what they like to do with that formation. He just got there a little bit too quick, a little bit too anxious for the interception.
It's third down.
Brings up 3rd and 7 for Delaware State, their own 35-yard line. Bethea takes the snap, thought about it, holds on to it a little bit longer. Penalty marker comes out, and Bethea just throws it away.
Bethea chased out the pocket. Pass sails incomplete. There is a flag on the play.
The penalties decline. 4th down.
So Eric Kareem, number 69, the Tennessee Tech transfer, is guilty of the hold.
Here's a little things won't show up in the stat sheet, but this is a quality move. There was a holding penalty called there, backs deep in the backfield. A&T turned it down. Nothing says turn it down. It's a battlefield position, but they realize they're in control of this football game. Coach Washington trying to take it easy on the second-year coach from Delaware State. Didn't help.
Yeah.
Still didn't help.
That was Jacob Roberts right there, the true freshman out of Charlotte.
What do you do when you can't help yourself? The Aggies tried to help. They turned down the penalty, given an opportunity to punt. And look what happens. It's just one of those days for Delaware State. Can't get it going. They're leaving them unblocked. You got a rugby-style punter that's trying to go to the left where you got an unblocked defender. Coach Washington, he'll celebrate that. He'll celebrate good special teams play. He's a defensive guy at heart, and most defensive coaches like special teams.
A frustrating night thus far for Rod Milstead and the Hornets, as Khalil Carter is back in at quarterback. He feels the pressure. Elijah Bell was gunning for it, but Devin Smith was right there with him.
So that's not pass interference, but that other one on Mac McCain was. Every now and then, Rogers can't say this, but every now and then the Stripes, they'll eat a whistle every now and then. 28-0 on the scoreboard, some 50-50 calls.
You said it, Joe. You said it. You're all right. You're saying it.
Watch when big fella 46 in the slot. He comes down in motion.
Just too low for Elijah Bell on that slant route.
And I don't know if Khalil Carter's not calling his own number right now. You know, trying to throw the ball. I mean, he and Elijah Bell obviously have the chemistry and the rhythm, but I think these are some design runs, and he's pulling it out and taking the pass option on it.
Well, he's targeted Elijah Bell quite a bit tonight, and they've had a good connection. Now 3rd and 10. And after that turnover on downs, see what the Aggies do here. And Jermaine Martin is met quickly in the hole by Cavalcante, and a flag on the field. We've seen a little bit of laundry tonight. The officials talking it over.
Holding. Defense, number 94. 10-yard penalty will result in the 1st down.
Rod Milstead can't believe it. It was Christian Johnson.
It's a running play. He's a two-gap guy. He's supposed to hold. He's got 2 gaps. Oh, come on, man. Bang, bang play, Rogers. You got to forgive me, man. I was suspect when I saw holding called on a running play that quick. Defensive holding.
I'd say let that one go.
Let that one go. Nose tackle call for holding.
Wasn't enough there to do anything with. I'd say let that one go. I agree with you, Jay.
And it gives the Aggies 1st and 10. And again, we've seen the Hornets just try to get a little too anxious and jumping that snap count.
They just can't get out of their own way right now.
Yeah.
False start, offense, number 19, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Oh, they call it on the Aggies instead, and Zachary Leslie. And so this game has taken an interesting kind of pace here in the third quarter. All 28 points were scored in the first half. And now both teams are just kind of...
Watch my man right here.
It's big number 46.
46, fullback up there. Follow him to normally see the football.
William Simpson, he's out ahead to block, and Jermaine Martin tried to find him and then broke off. And several penalty flags fly out. I want to tell you, this game just started to get a little bit more sloppy in this third quarter. And we saw, again, the penalties start to pile up in the first half, and then this has been kind of like a stop-and-go rhythm here in the third quarter.
One thing about Delaware State, their recruiting base, Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, New York. Now, when you put New Jersey, New York in there, there are going to be some feisty guys. I mean, that's just that New York thing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Well, you got a problem with the way we play football? Hey, so they're feisty.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the offense. Holding offense number 70. That penalty will be enforced 10 yards from the previous spot. After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense number 46. That penalty will also be enforced. It will remain first down.
Now here we were highlighting William Simpson and giving the fullback some love.
Now, I don't know if you call him a fullback. 5'11", 290 pounds. So what do he do? He gets one to hit somebody. That's a cheap shot. Yep, it's a cheap shot, and I wouldn't be mad if they tossed him. Wouldn't be mad if they tossed him. That's a cheap shot. Play clearly over. And we like the fact that Coach said he likes to hit people, but there's no room for that type of plays in today's college football landscape.
And for the record, Simpson's from North Carolina.
Yeah.
Not New York.
Not New York and all that.
Northeast.
I said the Delaware State folks from over there. Now, can they review that, Rogers, a hit like that, a shot like that away from the play, and the foul was called for the personal foul?
They could, but the officials are going to get that. We always talk about good dead ball officiating, make sure you stay with the play. Even though the play's over, the play's not over. And so a mark of good officiating game is good dead ball officiating, and it was good to get that one. It's out there in the open. It's a, as you say, an unnecessary hit at all. No reason for that at all.
I always wonder, when you take that type of shot, if he would have thrown a punch, they probably would have kicked him out of the game. Right?
Yeah,
for sure.
That's right. If he throws a punch, that's fighting. He's out for this game, and he would be out for the first half of the next game. That was the case.
See, to me, that's borderline worse than a punch right there. Guy not looking at you. The punch, you're engaged, normally talking back and forth. Guy sitting there looking at the pile, and you come up and just cheap shot him.
The handoff to Martin, and a swarm of Hornets right around him. A loss of about 5. Brandon Carswell, one of those guys, in on the stop. So this drive going in the opposite direction of where North Carolina A&T would like. From the 40-yard line, the line to gain is the 14-yard line. Carter with time and just throws it out of bounds.
Carter's pass is out of bounds.
You didn't correct me. I said the 14. It's the 4-yard line.
4-yard line?
Yeah.
Didn't matter. But it's at this point in the game, you start to wonder how long you keep your starters out there. And I think that had the Aggies scored a touchdown, that would have been the end of the night for them. But you don't want to end unite with your starters with no type of offensive rhythm. Defense has done their job. They'll probably start substituting them out soon, but offense, I think they need to put another score on the board before they can call it a night.
Punt from Rivers, who pinned the Hornets deep in their own territory last time. And another solid punt from him. Come back with us to Greensboro.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Mountain Dew. Do the Dew. And P3 Portable Protein Snack, the more interesting way to get your protein.
Good look at the clock tower on the campus of North Carolina A&T State University. The Aggies with a commanding 28-0 lead over Delaware State in this MEAC home opener. 15th ranked team in the country, and North Carolina A&T is looking to add another one and a big one in conference play.
Here's another question for you. We've been around the country all over, right? Is there a nicer HBCU campus in North Carolina A&T? Be honest. If there is one, you can tell me. This nicer. I like Hampton, very scenic on the river and everything.
It's beautiful.
But this campus at A&T, they've got bling. New everything, new dorm.
Well, you see that new student center? I mean, they poured a ton of money into that.
So I put the question out there. Have you seen a nicer HBCU campus?
Hampton is pretty. Hampton is pretty with the big oak tree, and they're on the water, and I don't know. Building-wise. Well, there's a lot of newness. There's a lot of new opportunities that have arisen, and Chancellor Harold Martin has done a terrific job. Sam Washington has been a part of that success for North Carolina A&T. Came over in 2011 as the defensive coordinator, and then takes over as the head coach last year, and they win another Black College Football National Championship.
And give credit to Chancellor Martin. I mean, I think leadership starts at the top in all your sports. And if you're a chancellor, head of school, and you say there's a priority on student athletes having success on and off the field, it trickles down. Every place I've gone to, I've seen it trickle down. And when you talk to Chancellor Martin, he knows what's going on with his athletics program. He knows what's going on in the CBD program here on school. My daughter's a member of that, so that's why I know what that school is.
Oh, she chose to go to North Carolina A&T instead of Howard.
That's how hot they are.
Personal note.
That's how hot they are. I was known for being an Aggie killer. And the fact that my daughter goes here lets you know how hot they are down here in Greensboro.
They got it going on, and they have a big lead.
That's 800-630-5203.
Let's take a look at tonight's Bringing the Flavor, presented by McDonald's. Jay, did you keep the band director? I don't know if he's the director of the band, but it reminded me of, the movie Drumline. He looked like the guy, Flight of the Bumblebee.
Yeah, the one guy all structured.
Flight of the Bumblebee.
Now, that movie Drumline changed a lot of HBCU culture.
Yeah.
After Drumline, the band started thinking they were bigger than the football team. They are size-wise, but football teams still run the yard.
In some respects, but let's be honest, who are people more interested in seeing in HBCU football? The band or the
Martin.
team?
I want to see Elijah Bell. If your football team's not any good, then the band runs the show. So the best way to neutralize a really good band is to have a really good football team.
Do y'all have a good band?
We're an academic institution this year, Tiffany.
Jermaine Martin on the carry, and coming from behind is Brian Cavalcante, and Cavalcante with a hard hit, and we see
another body down.
Yeah, Jay.
Sam Washington wants his offense off the field, but they've got to show him something. They've got to show him something if they can adjust to what Delaware State is doing. Because if you don't prove you can move the ball on, then next week, the next time you play, that team's going to use what they saw here in the second half to slow you down.
And Devin Smith is the injured Hornet down. We talked about, you know, a guy out of the Washington, D.C. area who, again, who has pro prospects or talent and has the ability, and we've seen him kind of get dinged up a little bit earlier in this ball game.
And I think it's starting to go back to what you mentioned earlier. Short week, catching up to Delaware State, coming off a loss, not getting an opportunity to heal correctly. I thought it might have given them a little bit of momentum to say, hey, let's hurry up and go rectify the loss we had to Howard University. But instead, now we're starting to see them get pushed around pretty good here in this game.
Well, it's just been a tough night overall for Delaware State. Made the trip down here to Greensboro and having the opportunity to play on national television for the first time in about 5 years, or about 4 years rather.
I saw that. That was Smith on the tackle, and looked like his leg was exposed and took a knee to his calf. So hopefully that won't be too serious.
For our Week 4 Monday Night Football matchup is an AFC North battle between the Bengals and Steelers at Heinz Field. It's the 100th meeting between the two, and Pittsburgh has won the last 8 against Cincinnati, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Well, Sam Washington suited up for the Pittsburgh Steelers after graduating from Mississippi Valley State University, and spent some time with the Steelers.
And Rod Milstead, NFL veteran as well. Most notably got a Super Bowl ring for the San Francisco 49ers.
The quick pass out to Quinzel Lockhart. Lockhart is one of those versatile receivers who makes the Aggies just so dangerous on the perimeter. And you talk football, and again, you can't mention, well, you can't go without mentioning the name Tariq Cohen if you're talking about North Carolina A&T. There's his grandma there, repping number 29 in the Chicago Bears jersey.
I see a lot of number 29 jerseys out here too, which is good. Which, you know, you pay homage to the greatest runner in the history of school.
Carter on the pass and overthrowing Leslie. Leslie, who shows some good speed on the outside, and covered by DeAndre Blue Ela.
The fact that Carter's in the game lets me know that, because we saw Carter get dinged up, they want to see something out this offensive unit. And I said it earlier, I don't think they come out the game until they score some points in the second half.
And the coaches felt like, you know, he had a good week of practice, and overall their theme was just kind of going back to the basics, focusing on the fundamentals. We'll see if they can string together a drive here as that pass is complete to Elijah Bell.
You see, Carter's going to get hit, but nice little timing route between Carter and Elijah Bell. But I want to see what's going to happen. Delaware State showing their hand. They're coming with a kitchen sink blitz. Right? They're going to bring everybody. See, safety's coming down, middle field's open, one-on-one, so let's see how Carter reacts to it. When this is coming, you know you're going to get hit. So you might as well throw an accurate pass somewhere down the field to get the defense off you.
Instead, they hand it off to Jermaine Martin, and Martin popping on to the outside, down the sideline. You ain't going to stop him.
It's another
33 yards for Jermaine Martin. His third touchdown touchdown of the night, his fourth.
And once again, Jermaine Martin bails out this offense. Against Charleston Southern, when they were struggling, it was the big runs he had to really get them going. And Jermaine Martin just showing you, hey, nothing wrong giving the ball to the best football player on the field. And let me handle it.
Did you see that on the replay of that last camera angle? You saw the coaches kind of waving bye-bye?
Were they waving bye-bye to him?
Yeah.
See,
watch that. You need your telly right here. You see that?
There you go. Once he got to the edge, good runner's going to finish it off.
3 touchdowns of 20 yards or more tonight for Jermaine Martin. Well, Sam Washington certainly has another great one in the making in Jermaine Martin. I can't wait to see what he does for the remainder of the season if he can stay healthy.
Yeah. Just a junior. Transfer from Coastal Carolina. Made a little bit of a mark last year, but this year off to a phenomenal start. Think he's better than Trico? Not so fast, my friend.
You know, I had to think about it. I was like, no, but I can see how he is pretty exciting. I don't think he is electrifying just yet. Maybe because he's just got a little bit more football to play, but I mean, he's got a great grand stage for him to work with this season.
He does have something that Trico wasn't really blessed with. He's got size.
Yeah. Aileen is knocked back. And penalty markers fly out onto the field after that one. Jay, let's take a look at those power rankings.
South Carolina State. Watch out. We haven't heard from the Bulldogs in a while, but impressive victory over Wofford. Look for the Bulldogs to try and compete in MEAC this year. Number 4, Bethune-Cookman, projected coming second in the conference. Physical team. They've had 2 victories over the SWAC. Let's see if they can make it continue. Southern. I think everybody's saying Southern's that team to beat out there. The key is, will Southern be able to get by Prairie View and Grambling again? But if they do that, waiting for them in the SWAC championship could be number 2, which is Alcorn State University. Do not sleep on Alcorn. Physical team. They've got 2 quarterbacks. They've got some depth. Very experienced lineup. I think they're the team to beat out there in the SWAC. And number 1, I mean, come on now. Proof is in the pudding. This justifies I know what I'm talking about. See, you make your team number 1, and they go out there and they win on national TV 35-0. They're leading right now. I tell you, I know what I'm talking about. But on the bubble, UAPB, we talked about it at halftime. I will give credit to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
And Cedric Thomas is helping to turn that program around and trying to make them believers again. I mean, they haven't gotten past the 3-win mark in a while, and we're reviewing this one and seeing they're questioning targeting here. Let's bring it in with Rogers Redding. How do you see it?
Okay, let's look at the play here. The defender comes in and he does hit him in the head. It's hard to see whether there's an indicator or not. What you want to look for is whether there's an indicator, whether there's a launch or a thrust from a crouch or something like that. Let's see if we can see it on this view.
And we're looking at number 57. That's Jacob Roberts.
Okay.
So, Rod, you got to be me. You got to call it the target. You confirm something. What do you do?
Let's take a look at it first. Yeah.
I don't get that many looks all the time.
There's too many players between the camera and the defender, so it's hard to tell. He does hit him in the head, and unless they've got some views that we're not seeing, it'd be hard for me to say, because you do see him hit him in the head with his helmet, but whether or not there's an indicator, whether there's a launch or a crouch or something like that, but we'll get a look at this one.
Now, the football person in me says, if I'm being double-teamed, how can I really target somebody? If the double-team block on me, I'm just trying to get off and make a tackle.
And if you can't confirm every piece of the action, if you can't confirm every piece of the foul, then you have to overturn it. So in my view, I don't think they can confirm every piece of this, so I would let this go. stands is no longer an option. They either confirm it or overturn it. So they're not going to be able to make it stand. And so I would say that I'll be surprised if they confirm that.
They call that target. I think if the runner doesn't cut back into him, the helmets don't collide. I thought it was a runner, got confused on the double team block. He split the double team block, took a step into him, and then the helmets ended up hitting.
Here's a call from Jason Soisman.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting.
Yeah.
It will be first down.
That's the correct outcome.
Yeah.
They could not confirm every element of the foul, so it's good to not have the target foul and disqualify the player from the game.
You're such a referee. How about the runner cutting to the guy trying to make a tackle?
Well,
He initiated the contact.
Here's the thing, Jay. What you have to do is look at the action of the player who's the tackler or the blocker. You can't look at what the other guy does. I mean, there's nothing you can control about that. And that's why you look at the indicators. You look at what the action of, if there's got to be attack with forcible contact. And that doesn't have anything to do with what the opponent has done.
But fumble on the field and able to recover it in the end zone for the safety is Bethea. He just couldn't get to that snap. It was a tough one and went right by him. And another 2 points on the board for the Aggies.
It's just a tough one here. Snap off target with a lot of velocity. That ball goes 15 yards. There's nothing you can do as a quarterback but sit on it.
North Carolina A&T Aggies 37, Delaware State 0. Can I get an Aggie?
And I think that's just one of those tough plays where you're already down by a lot, trying to get something going. And Jay, you said, hey, we're going to learn a lot about the Hornets tonight based on their fight.
Yep, and I will say this, they showed some fight. I mean, they held A&T off the scoreboard in the second half, but then the injuries started to mount up, and then you make those type of mental mistakes. And one thing I can tell you about Milstead, he's going to bring out the fight in these guys. He will do it. One of the MEAC legends, former offensive lineman, he demands more from his offensive line. And I like he had the confidence out there, but I say this, you became the head coach there for a reason, because somebody prior to you was fired, didn't have a lot of talent on the roster. And you can only will your kids to play so well. At a certain point, whoever's got the fastest horse should win the race. And I just think right now he doesn't have enough horses to compete with a team like North Carolina A&T.
Amir McNeil receives it, and McNeil was wrapped up and brought down. I think it's an interesting conversation because it's a question that we posed to him earlier in the week as to, how it felt to be back at his alma mater now, his second year, and what does it look like, and what does the progression of this program look like. And he said, well, certainly the new car smell has worn off. We're here to work. We're here and it's work. But as that play is under review, Jay, I'm going to ask the question.
The football, maybe he tackled it too hard. They don't want you to tackle hard. Let me stop playing while we're...
No, but he, Milstead mentioned the fact that, they're not where they want to be right now, but at least they're on the right path.
Yeah, and I never expect a coach to go out there and say, oh, there's no way we can play at A&T. Nobody's ever going to do that. But that's where it's kind of our job to say, well, how can you win? How could you possibly win? And that's why it's like, do you need to bring some more players in there? And, of course, he's going to say he backs his team. He likes the team he has. But I think tonight's an indicator. Trying to see, did his knee touch the ground? Maybe knee touched the ground, but he caught it
right there
before. But is it coming up? Or that's down?
That's down. I would say down. Rogers?
I'd say the question is whether the knee is down when he possesses the ball. Sometimes he can get the ball and pop right back up. But it looked like from that view, I would say they rule him down. But let's see what the replay official says.
After further review, the runner's knee was down at the 27-yard line. It would be 1st and 10 at that point. Please reset the game clock to 1 minute, 10 seconds.
And then you look on the other sideline at a guy like Sam Washington, who has just as much talent as last year, if not more. And I think that the thing that he pointed out to us with this year's team is the fact that they just don't have the same level of experience as opposed to the guys from before.
In a situation like this where you start to get better and better. So now they're bringing in the quarterback change to get him experience. You start bringing in guys like Kashawn Baker to get him some experience, and that's how they get better. I still think the question is going to be that Carter and the offensive line. Skill position, they're all set.
Fowler out to Bell. Bell's still in the game. One of those weapons on the perimeter.
Quarterbacking now for the Aggies is number 1, Jalen Fowler.
As Jalen Fowler is back in, and will likely have seen our last of Khalil Carter, as Fowler trying to move the ball down the field as time winds down in this third frame.
And probably last of Bethea as well from Delaware State. I think you're going to see a lot of Elijah Bell, because Elijah Bell, he's chasing history. You know, he's trying to become the all-time leading receiver in the school and one of the greats in the conference. So normally you get that senior that's chasing the record books, give him as much time as possible.
Well, that'll end the third quarter, and then we've got one more to go here from Greensboro. A&T up big.
Strawberry chocolate!
Anything goes in Old El Paso.
As we begin.
North Carolina A&T playing shutout football in their MEAC home opener against Delaware State, and the Aggies on offense now with second-string quarterback Jalen Fowler on the field, 2nd and 14, and the handoff to Kashawn Baker, and Baker with a couple of shake and bake moves to find a couple of holes and pick up just about 6 yards.
They just, running back is just replaceable here at North Carolina A&T. I mean, Baker's showing some flash that if he were at another school, he'd probably be the starting running back, but when you're stuck behind Jermaine Martin, tough to get some PT. One thing I always liked about Baker was in the game now, running back. He's 5'6", 165, right? His running back position, he stands straight up. You see him in the back, he doesn't bend his knees. He's like standing straight up. I guess he's figured I'm short enough as is. Woo! He just got his quarterback lit.
Yeah. The blow delivered by Brooks Parker, and Jalen Fowler felt all of that one.
When you're 5'6", 165, you get out the way, but watch him try to get the block. You see him on the ground. That's his guy hitting the quarterback. That's when you kind of tell him, hey, what's up with that block? Take a look. You'll see him here. In man line of scrimmage, that's you. He goes to cut him and whiffs and gets Jalen Fowler toe up. When you watch that film, you're like, hey, what did I do to you, man? What did I do to you? That was a half effort.
This ball batted out of bounds, but the punt inside the 20-yard line.
I would think we're done seeing Bethea.
Yeah.
It's almost like, has he taken enough punishment?
We'll see if Jarrett Lewis will run out. Instead, it's Jabari Blake. Blake, another true freshman, 6'4", 195 pounds, out of Lynchburg, Virginia.
Now, this part, I don't know if I agree with. You don't go true freshman to another true freshman in the game.
Got to put your feet to the fire. He's 1 for 1 on this season. The handoff. And Dallas doesn't have much room to work with. So, look, he's 1 for 1 on the season.
That was versus Lincoln.
Lincoln threw a touchdown.
Lincoln is not North Carolina A&T.
It is not North Carolina A&T. You are absolutely correct. But you already saw your starting quarterback go down, and Shane Smith, he injured his non-throwing hand in the season opener. And now you have the southpaw going for it all here, and well overthrows his intended target, Charles Peeler. And perhaps this isn't the only backup quarterback we may see for the Hornets tonight. We could also see Jarrett Lewis as well.
Well, I think it's that time you see how good your backup quarterback can hand off the football. So you keep the clock running. One thing about A&T, even in these type of situations, when they're up and the backups are in, their defensive line is so good. They still control the line of scrimmage.
Good example there on 3rd and 8 as Blake didn't have really anywhere to go. Brings up 4th down. Alex Fumba in on that stop.
Blake on the carry. Let's hear it for that Aggie defense.
Well, Delaware State is in search of a MEAC championship. They haven't brought one home since 2007.
That squad with Shahir McBride, MEAC Offensive Player of the Year that year from a wide receiver position. Tells you what type of player he was.
Romo Martinez in to play for the Hornets. Back deep for the Aggies, number 3.
And Fidel Romo Martinez on for the punt. And tough punt there. Goes out of bounds just near the 45-yard line. The Aggies get the ball when we come back.
ESPN College Football is presented by McDonald's.
Beautiful look at that new student center facility in the heart of campus here in Greensboro, North Carolina. The Aggies got a lot of Aggie pride tonight. 37-0 over Delaware State, and Kingsley Effetti, the transfer quarterback out of ECU, now into play, and he calls his own number 12 up the middle. And he gets the first down. Effetti out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we'll see him use his feet quite a bit. Coaches say he's pretty light on them.
And we saw right there probably the most mobile of the quarterbacks for North Carolina A&T. First time he touches it, calls his own number, picks up 10 yards for the first down. Look at the running back standing up next to him. Just standing up.
And Effetti once more. And a good pickup there on first down. Brought down by Moses Dupree. Well, you know what? You talk about Kashawn Baker and his size. I mean, Tariq Cohen was like 5'5", right?
Yeah.
He stood up, you know.
I just like that stance. I don't know if I've ever seen a running back. Just watch when he gets in his running back stance. He said most people squat, bend your knees a little bit. Take a look at him. You'll see him here when he gets set. He's almost set. No bend to the knee.
And Effetti hands it off to Baker. And Baker muscles up for about 3 yards. And moving the sticks once again.
Keyshawn Baker on the carry. And it's enough for another.
Jay Walker, Tiffany Green here with you from BB&T Stadium, the two-time defending MEAC champions. Have led from start to now over Delaware State in this conference opener for the Aggies. Effetti once again tucks it and runs, gets inside the red zone, but a penalty marker is thrown.
Effetti on the carry.
That's
number 55. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
That's on the center, Dackery Wilson.
And he's pulling. And so often when that quarterback gets outside, you lose focus of where the ball carrier is, and he's got him engaged under the shoulder pads, and they're taught not to really let go. Gets called for the hold. Good job of selling it by the defensive end as well.
Wilson, who has a lot of experience up front, probably the most among those offensive linemen, better than 300 snaps coming into tonight's game. And Baker playing with good pad level, following his blockers, and gets back to the original line of scrimmage. I tell you, when you're looking around, this is a light weekend in the MEAC in terms of conference play. Not a ton of games going on. Bethune travels to Howard. FAMU goes to Norfolk State, and North Carolina Central at Morgan State. Any sleeper teams that you're seeing coming out of the MEAC that could really give North Carolina A&T a run for their money?
I mean, I think if you would have called prior to the season, if you would have said South Carolina State was going to compete, you know, they would be a sleeper, but now I think they pretty much established who they are. And I think you're looking at a three-team race really between South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T, Florida A&M, as well with Bethune-Cookman.
Third down and one, quarterback keeper, and Ifedi gets that first down. When you take a look at the preseason poll, A&T, of course, sitting at number one. And Bethune-Cookman, Florida.
A couple folks I think are really struggling.
Yeah.
So we need to address Howard University struggling, and if any part of the room is true that Kalen Newton could be leaving, they're really in trouble. I think Florida A&M's still right there, but South Carolina State's that team that I'd move up. I would move up.
Remember, they had a big win over Wofford to start the season, a ranked opponent.
But for them, it's going to be tough. Is they had 2 early bye weeks, and they played 8 straight games. That'll wear you out without a break.
And that one snagged out of the air, and the interception by Keenan Black. And Black, the senior out of Concord, North Carolina, showing something bright and positive for this Hornets defense.
The backup quarterback lets it go, and what a fantastic interception. The one-hand variety for Delaware State in the end zone.
Ifedi once again tucks it and runs, gets inside the red zone, but a penalty marker is thrown. That's
number 55. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
That's on the center, Daiquiri Wilson.
And he's pulling. And so often when that quarterback gets outside, you lose focus of where the ball carrier is, and he's got him engaged under the shoulder pads, and they're taught not to really let go. Gets called for the hold. Good job of selling it by the defensive end as well.
Wilson, who has a lot of experience up front, probably the most among those offensive linemen, better than 300 snaps coming into tonight's game. And Baker running with good pad level, following his blockers, and gets back to the original line of scrimmage. I tell you, when you're looking around, this is a light weekend in the MEAC in terms of conference play. Not a ton of games going on. Bethune travels to Howard. FAMU goes to Norfolk State, and North Carolina Central at Morgan State. Any sleeper teams that you're seeing coming out of the MEAC that could really give North Carolina A&T a run for their money?
I mean, I think if you would have called prior to the season, if you would have said South Carolina State was going to compete, you know, they would be a sleeper, but now I think they pretty much established who they are. And I think you're looking at a 3-team race really between South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T, Florida A&M, as well with Bethune-Cookman.
Third down and one, quarterback keeper, and Ifedi gets that first down. When you take a look at the preseason poll, A&T, of course, sitting at number one. And Bethune-Cookman, Florida.
A couple folks I think are really struggling.
Yeah.
So we need to address Howard University struggling, and if any part of the room is true that Kalen Newton could be leaving, they're really in trouble. I think Florida A&M's still right there, but South Carolina State's that team that I'd move up. I would move up.
Remember, they had a big win over Wofford to start the season, a ranked opponent.
But for them, it's going to be tough. Is they had 2 early bye weeks, and they played 8 straight games. That'll wear you out without a break.
And that one snagged out of the air, and the interception by Keenan Black. And Black, the senior out of Concord, North Carolina, showing something bright and positive for this Hornets defense.
The backup quarterback lets it go, and what a fantastic interception. The one-hand variety for Delaware State in the end zone.
Cheerio, it goes round and around.
You're looking at the most decorated Aggie athlete, and Kayla White. She is fast, fast, fast. The 200-meter indoor champion, an All-American several times over. And Kayla White, I wonder how fast it would take her to go from the 20-yard line to the end zone.
Fast as she wants.
She ran the 200-meter in the indoor in 22.62 seconds. So, yeah. She's got it going on.
Yeah, and best of luck to her as well. She continues her track career. Probably have the feeling you'll be seeing her, cheering for her in the Olympics one day.
2020 is right around the corner. See if she has the... She's going to qualify for that, but you mentioned already that, you know, the women's track team along with the men's track team have been running things in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference and track landscape.
Yeah, you got to give them credit.
Yeah. Football team, right?
Yeah, they're like bigger than the MEAC. You know, they're like, you know, they're competing nationally. They're signing national recruits. And saw Miss White, NCAA champion in indoors, and came in second in the outdoors. Can't say it again. They're hot. They're on to something. They've got the formula here.
As Alex Fumba is helped back up into the sideline. And you know what, Jay? I go back to that 2015 season, because for me, that was one of those turnaround years. Now, Sam Washington came on that staff with Rod Broadway in 2011, and they just started to turn the program around. But in 2015, they made it to the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl, the inaugural bowl. And it was on that national stage on ABC that you just saw what the Aggies had to offer. And since that time, they haven't looked back.
They have not looked back. And I remember when Rod Broadway got the job here, it wasn't a desirable job. They had APR sanctions. They couldn't practice. They couldn't have spring football, limited practice. And for that team to get to where they got to, that class really deserves it, that they brought in recruited, and the whole coaching staff, they all bought in. Broadway didn't accept any type of excuses. And Coach Washington, and I like the transition. I think A&T should get credit for the way they transitioned. When Broadway retired, there was no doubt who was getting that job. A lot of people were going to apply, but they handed it off the right way. And they have to give thanks that Broadway didn't wait to ride out one more year, then try to leave. He's like, I'm going to leave it to my assistant coach that deserves it with a pretty good football team. And he won a championship.
So you just think how much of a dream season that was for Sam Washington. You go 10-2 last year. You repeat as MEAC champions. And you win a Celebration Bowl on top of that, back-to-back once again.
And I think it was something for them. Keep in mind, they had the big win over East Carolina with the famous speech, tell them, pay me my money. And then they came and they lost back-to-back games. Morgan beat them in an upset, then Florida A&M got them. And then we remember we were here when South Carolina State was taking it to them. And we were like, is this the way the Aggie dynasty is going to end? 3 straight losses to knock him out of contention. He proved something to me as a coach, that he was able to right that ship, and not only right that ship that night in that game, but for the rest of the season and win another HBCU national championship.
And Washington, once again, in that driver's seat in the MEAC, but again, they're also ranked 15 in the FCS. The completion there.
It'll be short, though, because it's a nice route. Receiver was open, Woodley, but quarterback brought him too far back.
Again, the true freshman quarterback, Jabari Blake. And so Delaware State with the 4th and 1 situation, and Blake in the offense will stay on the field. tucks it, runs, and picks up the first down.
Good hard run from Blake. The freshman comes in there, those are completion, then keeps the drive alive with a hard run.
We saw Kadarius Kendrick right there, a little bit slow to get up. Trots off the field. The clock stops temporarily and then gets going again after change is set. And nowhere to go. Coming up in the backfield is Jermaine McDaniel. McDaniel with the sack and a loss of 6.
I mean, up 37-0. They talk about he's got a motor that won't stop. He won't stop. Leave him unblocked, disrupts, makes a great tackle. You see that there, like, nah, not today.
Right now, the Aggies defense just trying to preserve shutout.
And they know it, and that's why they're out there. McDaniel, the starting D lineman. Only just a sophomore. They still want to keep that donut on the board. Pick.
And right there into the hands of Amir McNeil. McNeil, who stepped right in front of it, and it was telepath right to him.
Number 34, Jazir.
And correction, that was Jazir Staten. So Staten gets the props and the pick.
Four 3569. That's 800-624-3569.
Saturday we'll have number 5 Ohio State and Nebraska from Lincoln. The Buckeyes have won the last 4 against the Cornhuskers, 7:30 Eastern on ABC and the ESPN app. As ESPN College Football is presented by McDonald's. All smiles for the Aggies as things have been going their way all night long. And Kinsley Affetti, the third-string quarterback, in and picks up the first down, a gain of 11.
And you know what could be scary? I like this Wildcat package they run with Affetti. I mean, a team that's solid, but now you bring me a quarterback in the game that looks very comfortable running this type of package. Just one more thing that defensive coordinators have to prepare for, because I don't think this is going to be the last time you see Affetti playing for the Aggies this season.
We got a chance to look at all 3 quarterbacks for A&T tonight. Started off with Khalil Carter, their first-year starter, and Jalen Fowler, and now Affetti. Kashawn Baker. And Baker with about 3 on that carry. When you go and look at just college football as a whole, one of the conversations that we were having with the coaches, and both having played at HBCUs, Ron Milstead at Delaware State and Sam Washington at Mississippi Valley State, said, what's the difference between when you played and kind of now? You know, what's the look of the athlete and the type of competition? Say, well, it's real different. That was a simplistic answer as Affetti kind of wiggles his way up ahead.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that. You know, Milstead and I were pretty close in the time we played. You know, I think it's easy to say the kids have gotten a little bit more athletic. They probably have. I think weights are a little bit better. So back when we played, you know, you didn't have a weight room. But I think the one difference may be that chip on your shoulder. You know, when we played, there was a chip on your shoulder. You wanted to compete against the guys that you saw on television. What made him better than me, except for the fact that, you know, we went to some HBCUs, and sometimes I don't know if you get that chip on the shoulder, even though I think A&T is one of those teams that carries a chip on the shoulder. Mm-hmm. When they go on the road, when they play some of these money games, they're out to prove a point.
Affetti again on the quarterback keeper.
Well, Affetti has come in and effectively been another running back essentially for A&T out of that Wildcat position. Picks up another first down, and He's got about 30, 40 yards or more.
And he's kept that clock moving, too. Picked up the first downs we needed, but coming in on national TV, getting a little run. Not mad at you.
Fetty this time with nowhere to go, and Brooks Parker wasn't fooled at all. Well, SportsCenter tonight after Navy Memphis with Kenny Mayne and Michael Eaves. They'll have Eagles Packers preview, post-game reactions with Damian Woody's turning point, plus the person that unlocked Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields' potential, and up to the minute AL wildcard standing. SportsCenter after college football on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I need to know what's going on with my Nationals. They clinched the playoff berth, but who's coming to play?
Well, I kind of checked out after the Cubs.
Sorry about that.
Dwindled there in the victory formation for A&T with the play.
Third down.
Play clock ran down all the way to 0, but Sam Washington saw another great performance from his team, and he got it in all facets of the game. Jermaine Martin was special, 4 touchdowns tonight. Defense stepped up when they needed. Special teams was there, and Sam Washington and the North Carolina A&T Aggies are still the top dog in the MEAC.
37, the Hornets of Delaware State.
I wanted to see how good Jermaine Martin was up close and personal with my own 2 eyes. Better than advertised. The rest of the conference has a problem on their hands by the name of Jermaine Martin.
Shutout football from the Aggies, 37-0 for Jay Walker. I'm Tiffany Green saying so long from Greensboro.
Everyone starts at the same